It's the awakening ceremony at the Hunter's Academy, and Su-ming already knows how this is going to go. He stands in the crowd, watching the top students step forward one after another. First girl steps to the awakening portal, and blue light bursts out. She gets a 7-star necromancer rare profession, and the whole academy erupts in shock. When the next student steps up, the portal shifts to purple. It's even rarer. He awakens as a magic hammer warrior, and all the students are losing their minds at how lucky this rich bastard is. Then it's Su-ming's turn. He walks forward and nobody expects anything from him. Just another orphan. Just another background nobody. He places his hand on the portal, and then the entire thing turns red. A massive wave of energy explodes out, and the entire academy can't believe their eyes. Even the director can't understand what he's seeing, because this level of reaction has never been seen before. And that's when Su-ming realizes it. Something from his past life is still with him. The divine artifact he once obtained has followed him into this life. Because of it, the system responds differently, and he awakens the mythical profession. A sword god, and a 10-star rating appears above the portal. Everyone is hyped to see what profession he got. But in the next moment, the displayed job title everyone can see shows Sword Controller, weak, low-tier trash job. The mood in the academy shifts immediately. Whispers start spreading, then students just start laughing at him. An orphan awakening trash. Nothing surprising, but Su-ming just turns away and walks off like he expected this. Because he did it on purpose. He changed the job title with his skill to hide his true power for now. Only one person doesn't laugh, Ji Yao. She walks up to him and sincerely congratulates him, like she actually sees something others don't. And for Su-ming, that moment hits differently, because in his past life, she was the only one who ever stood by him, the only one who tried to help him when everyone else betrayed him. Back then, after he solo defeated the final boss, the people he trusted most turned on him. His scumbag best friend and the bitch of a girlfriend he once believed in. Together they betrayed him just to steal divine artifact he had earned. But this time it would be different. Su-ming remembers everything, and in this life, he's not giving them the chance to do it again. He prepares himself for the beginner dungeon trial happening the next day, determined to hunt the most difficult boss to level up quickly. Meanwhile, a darker plot is unfolding in a luxury room where Jiang Tang and Ren Xiaoman are together. Jiang Tang is furious that Su-ming stole his spotlight at the ceremony, but Xiaoman calms him down with a predatory smile. She suggests that they can still use Su-ming's high attributes for their own gain by luring him in and forcing him to work for them. Because he is focused on preparing for the upcoming dungeon, Su-ming heads to a high-end weapon shop where he encounters crowds of students marveling at a blue display case. They are all staring at the Frost Heaven Cold Sword, a weapon touted as a diamond-rank masterpiece capable of freezing a monster's blood. While the others are intimidated by its $1 million price tag, our hero isn't fooled for a second, knowing from his past life that this is a fake weapon sold by scam merchants who were eventually arrested. As he turns to leave, he is intercepted by Jiang Lan, the vice director of the Jiang'an Financial Group, who is flanked by professional bodyguards. She attempts to recruit him by offering to cover all his shopping expenses in exchange for a favor. One of her bodyguards shows him a photo of her sister, Zhang Yunqing, and explains that since only newly awakened students can enter the beginner dungeon, they need someone with 10-star talent to act as her protector. Our protagonist immediately refuses the offer, showing zero interest in being a tool for the wealthy. When Zhanglan tries to shame him for being a poor student and pressures him to reconsider his status, the swordmaster decides to test her bluff. He points directly at the fake $1 million sword and tells her he'll take that one. Due to the price being so astronomical for a single bodyguard job, the director's team becomes outraged at his arrogance. Su-ming uses this moment to teach her a lesson, walking away while telling her that some things can't be bought with money, and that her sister should focus on her own efforts instead of shortcuts. This bold move leaves the crowd stunned that a student would dare play a major financial group like that. Shortly after, Su-ming's phone vibrates with a familiar message from Ren Xiaoman. She uses the exact same manipulation tactics from his previous life, claiming she has changed her mind and wants to see him on the school rooftop. Recognizing the trap immediately, he agrees to meet her, ready to finally confront her on his own terms. Just before exiting the store, the protagonist makes his way toward a counter piled with dark, jagged rocks known as weapon stone blanks. These items are essentially a gamble, as they typically only yield low-rank garbage, but the clerk warns him to choose carefully since the probability of success is extremely low. However, he isn't actually gambling because he has activated a legendary skill called Insight Eye. This ability provides him with a specialized interface that allows him to see through the material to perceive the fundamental information of any object. Because he can see the internal data of the stones, he realizes he can bypass overpriced silver rank gear and instead spend a mere 50 coins to secure a high-quality weapon. While he is holding his chosen stone, he is spotted by a group of mocking students led by a spoiled rich kid named Yang Ding. Having dealt with this bully's harassment in his past life, Su-ming decides to turn the situation to his advantage. He challenges the group to a bet, wagering 5,000 descent coins that his garbage stone will produce a silver rank weapon. Yang Ding and his friends burst into laughter, believing the odds are entirely in their favor, since there is a 99.99% chance of failure. They mockingly agree to the deal, expecting the poor student to cough up the cash when he fails. In response, our protagonist simply activates his skill and orders the stone to open. As the rock shatters, the bully's laughter instantly dies as a dark metallic blade appears. The system confirms that Su Ming has obtained the Black Iron Crimson Edge Sword, a silver-grade weapon with a unique Blood Drinker affix. This special attribute allows the sword to absorb blood from wounded monsters to heal the swordmaster's own injuries. While Yang Ding and his companions stare with their mouths wide open in disbelief, our hero catches his new weapon, satisfied that he now has a top-tier blade. Yang Ding can only stare in disbelief, muttering about how the hero must have just gotten lucky. Su Ming calmly inspects the weight and edge of the tool, noting that its built-in lifesteal effect is a massive advantage as it eliminates the need to hire a healer. A system notification confirms he has obtained a silver-grade mystical steel sword with a 10-point lifesteal bonus. Yang Ding remains visibly furious and frustrated, but our hero turns the cold blade toward him and demands the 5,000 descent coins from their bet. As the swordmaster walks away, a notification pops up to confirm the funds have been transferred. Although Yang Ding shouts threats after him, the protagonist simply warns him not to bet so casually with people in the future. Nearby, the shop clerk expresses her shock, explaining that no one has successfully pulled a weapon from those stone blanks in years. Because he now has the capital, our boy approaches the counter to purchase a sword sheath for exactly 5,000 coins. The clerk leads him to the display where he secures his new weapon into an ornate silver-grade sheath. This accessory is vital given that it reduces weapon durability consumption by 50%, which is crucial since he lacks the funds for a replacement. While the system prompts him to activate a manifestation function, he declines, intending to upgrade the weapon even further before the next day. Later, as students play basketball under a bright campus sky, our hero reflects on his growth. He realizes that while his sword lord job lacked starting skills, it provided a mythical talent called All Things Ascend. This golden rank power allows him to upgrade the quality of any combat loot once. To test this, he focuses his energy on his blade, triggering a massive surge of power that transforms the steel into a blood-red color. The result is the mystical Steel Blood Oath Sword, a silver upper-grade weapon that heals the wielder upon contact and provides a temporary 5-point attribute boost after every kill. Satisfied with this lethal upgrade, he activates a hidden manifestation function, confident that the beginner dungeon will now be much easier to conquer. As night falls over the city, Su Ming heads to a high rooftop where Ren Xiaoman is waiting with a casual smile. She complains that he is late, but the hero responds by drawing his sword with a violent motion. The girl flinches in terror, demanding to know what he is doing. Looking at her with murderous intent, our protagonist explains that he has come for revenge. Xiaoman is genuinely bewildered, claiming she only came as she accepted his romantic confession and wanted to date him. She even shows him their old text messages to prove they were a couple. Our hero views her drama with total apathy, noting that those memories belong to a past life. He recalls how, as a lonely orphan, he was easily manipulated by her feigned concern and the care he had longed for since childhood. He realizes now that their intimate interactions and his most precious memories were all part of a lie. He yells at her, exposing the dirty dealings she has with Zhang Tang and accusing them of just using his talent. When Xiaoman tries to maintain her innocent act, he shuts her down by calling her a vain and despicable person. This causes her facade to snap, and she reveals a venomous, hateful glare. She screams that he is just a worthless orphan whose only value was his talent, threatening that she and Zhang Tang will never let him go. Su Ming remains unfazed, suggesting she should worry more about her own ruined reputation. Desperate, Xiaoman lunges at him with a hidden blade, but the swordmaster easily sidesteps the attack. He notes that she is still obsessed with ambushing people, but he has already anticipated her move. The protagonist swings his blood-red sword in a swift arc, triggering the Blood Drinker effect. A spray of red energy slashes across Xiaoman's face, leaving her screaming on her knees as she realizes she is permanently scarred. Su Ming stands over her without an ounce of pity, declaring that her downfall is her own making. Now that he is preparing to leave her broken on the roof, he tells her to inform Zhang Tang that he is ready for whatever revenge they plan. He reflects that this single strike has finally severed the lingering feelings and the care he once treasured. As he walks away, a system menu appears with a rewards package from the academy. He receives a fortifying pill, a combat uniform, and 10,000 descent coins. A message from Principal Wang accompanies the gift, expressing hope that their 10-star student will achieve excellent results in the upcoming beginner dungeon trial. Later, Su Ming stands before the dungeon entrance, marking the start of his true challenge. He understands that this environment offers both extreme danger and rare opportunities for those who can survive it. While most warriors aim for standard contribution points by hunting ordinary bosses, our hero knows there is a far more difficult path with much better rewards. Since he is determined to surpass his past life, he decides to ignore the easy route and focus entirely on slaying the ultimate hidden boss. The setting shifts to the raging forest, an F-grade dungeon filled with blue-tinted foliage and strange creatures. As our protagonist steps through the portal, he notices that the map is completely different from the one he encountered 18 years ago. This is due to the fact the beginner dungeon is randomly generated every year, meaning all spawn points and routes are entirely unpredictable. Despite this change, he remains focused, knowing that the specific monsters inhabiting the woods will also be different this time around. While scouting the area, Su-ming spots a massive elite monster that looks like a gnarled flaming tree. He stays hidden in the shadows as he knows that if this creature's vines lock onto a target, it will drag them into its burning hollow to be roasted alive. To avoid unnecessary trouble, he checks his holographic map and marks a specific landmark. He intentionally rushed to be the first person inside the dungeon so that he could scout the route and collect 3 specific items needed to trigger the hidden boss before the crowds arrive to complicate things. Even though the layout of the forest has shifted, our protagonist is confident because the core strategy for the boss remains the same. As the clock hits 7:30 in the morning, other students begin to filter into the portal. A blue-haired girl and her companion enter nervously, hoping the quiet atmosphere means the area is safe. Unfortunately, the ground begins to rumble, and they spot a terrified student with a spear sprinting toward them for help. Their fear turns to horror as red-eyed bloodlust mad rats emerge from the ridge. Given that the threat is too overwhelming, the students are forced to split up and flee for their lives. Outside the dungeon, a real-time report appears on the academy grounds, delivering grim news only 1 minute after the students entered. It reveals that 3 challengers, including a high-ranking 6-star awakener, have already been killed by the rats. Ren Xiaoman watches these reports with a grim expression, realizing that the casualties are mounting before she has even finished forming her own team. This prompts the remaining crowd to start shouting for everyone to form groups faster, now that the people already inside are clearly desperate for help. Back inside the forest, the blue-haired girl finds herself completely isolated and lost. While she struggles to catch her breath, she is unaware that she is being watched by a massive ape-like monster lurking in the trees above. The creature suddenly drops down and prepares to crush her with a heavy fist. Just as the girl screams for help, Su-ming intervenes with his blood-red sword. He executes a series of violent red slashes in a circular motion, ripping through the beast instantly. Our hero lands gracefully between the girl and the threat, his grip firm on his blade as the force of his strike blows the monster backward. The situation elsewhere in the dungeon is far more desperate. Because of the high difficulty, a male student lies trembling on the ground while a massive level 5 bloodlust brown bear looms over him. Another student sprints away in a panic, cursing his bad luck for running into an elite monster so early in the trial. The chaos continues as one boy screams while a long-tongued swamp hunter lunges at him, and a blue-haired student runs frantically from a pack of level 3 tracking hounds. This student desperately uses a communication device to report that the teleport points at nearly every position on the map are surrounded by an endless wave of monsters. Back in the shadows, the purple-haired girl checks her team status screen and realizes with horror that her entire 5-man squad has been wiped out. Since her teammates sacrificed themselves to let her hide, she is the only survivor, and she begins to cry as she wonders if any newly awakened player can actually survive this dungeon. Her despair is interrupted by a sudden burst of energy as red slashes fill the air once more. Su-ming performs a high-speed maneuver and lands directly in front of her, obliterating the monster that was threatening her. The girl is amazed that he killed the creature in a single hit and asks if he is the famous 10-star Su-ming. The boy looks back with a serious expression, explaining that he was simply passing through and warns her that he cannot save her a second time. Because the threat is still active, the girl quickly runs off to find reinforcements, urging Su-ming to hang in there. Our protagonist then activates his Insight Eye skill, which projects an icon and scans a massive ape-like creature. This reveals that the beast is a level 3 mutant ape king, with high strength and constitution. Su-ming realizes that because this is a mutated boss, it managed to survive several hits from his silver-grade weapon. As the creature roars and lunges, our hero easily dodges the attack and notes that the monster is surprisingly fast. Since he is feeling competitive, he decides to have a speed contest. He accesses his system interface, reflecting on the powers he inherited from his past life as a godslayer. He selects his third skill, Divine Step, which increases his speed by 50% and provides total immunity to all attacks during activation. Surrounded with a vibrant blue aura, the Swordmaster accelerates instantly and vanishes, reappearing right behind the confused beast. Now that the monster is far too slow to keep up, our boy becomes bored with the fight. He decides he is done playing and swings his sword in a massive arc, unleashing a wave of energy that cleaves through the mutant ape king. A notification confirms the kill as the monster dissolves into red particles, and the system rewards the hero with a bronze-grade horizontal/skill scroll. Although it is a low-grade item, he knows it is still useful for a beginner area. Suddenly, an announcement appears in the sky for all players to see, declaring that a level 2 Swordmaster has achieved the first kill of a mutant ape king and earned the title of First Blood. The other students in the dungeon look up in disbelief, shocked that someone has already taken down a mutant boss. As a result of this achievement, every player in the dungeon receives a small healing potion as a reward. The girl holds her potion with relief, knowing she desperately needed to restore her health. Meanwhile, other students debate the identity of the mysterious player. While some are certain it must be the 10-star Su-Ming from the First Academy, others argue it could be a different swordmaster from a neighboring city. Regardless of the rumors, the successful kill provides a surge of hope, proving to the terrified students that they actually have the strength to clear the challenge alive. Meanwhile, Su-Ming realizes that the in-game title system could expose his true strength to everyone. He decides to be careful and use his full concealment skill ahead of time to edit and hide his personal information. He is quite surprised that even though 30 minutes have passed since the dungeon opened, not a single other player has managed to kill a monster yet. As he runs through the forest, he suddenly stops upon noticing movement to his right. Two hungry gray wolves emerge from the foliage, but our hero remains completely calm as he reaches for his sword hilt. He recognizes them as classic starter-level monsters and decides they are the perfect targets to test his new sword technique. The forest air fills with blood as Su-Ming performs a high-speed slash, instantly slicing the wolves apart and earning 80 experience points. This begins a relentless slaughter as the boy leaves a trail of carcasses behind him, eventually eliminating 100 wolves and amassing thousands of experience points. By 9:30 in the morning, he has already reached level 9. The system rewards his efficiency with a new title, identifying him as a legend of the hungry wolves. Su-Ming takes a moment to breathe, satisfied with his success. He reflects on how using the ranged property of his draw slash makes farming these low-level enemies much faster, since the energy builds up within the sheath over time before being released. He narrows his eyes and locks onto a new group of targets, delivering a horizontal draw that erupts in a massive crescent of blue slash to obliterate them all at once. Deep in another part of the forest, the ground begins to shake as a massive, red-eyed mutant wolf king lets out a thunderous roar. While this level 10 leader monster glares toward our hero, the story briefly shifts back to an hour earlier when other students were first forming their parties. Jiao leads her group through the portal, followed closely by several other eager teams. These students find themselves in a chaotic struggle, desperately counterattacking waves of monsters while waiting for reinforcements. A blue-haired student manages to stab a mutant field rat, and the party cheers with relief, believing they can finally win and keep up with the mysterious player who achieved the first kill. However, their celebration is cut short by a global announcement in the sky. It reveals that a level 9 player with the fisherman job has achieved the first kill of a leader monster and earned a new title. The students are shocked as they cannot believe a life skill class could be so powerful and reach level 9 so quickly. 10 minutes prior to this announcement, Su-Ming had leaped high into the air, descending upon the Wolf King with his sword. He mocks the beast's status as a leader, reminding it that his true power comes from being a reborn player. He lands a devastating blow that shatters the Wolf King into fragments, granting him 500 experience points and pushing him to level 10. Along with increased skill proficiency, he loots a Wolf King heart and an iron-cleaving claw bone. Nearby, the bully Yang Ding is panting and covered in dirt, having barely survived a pack of normal wolves. His teammate credits their survival to a dungeon reward scroll they received, but Yang Ding is consumed by rage. He is convinced the dungeon is bugged because he cannot understand how a fisherman reached level 9 while he is only at level 2. He throws his basic hatchet to the ground in frustration, blaming his slow progress on the fact that he was scammed out of his money at the weapon shop and couldn't buy silver-grade gear. He lashes out at his teammates for being freeloaders and secretly hopes he runs into Su-Ming so that he can crush him to vent his anger. Meanwhile, our hero crouches in the brush and opens his system interface. Now that he has reached level 10, he has triggered his primary job change quest. He realizes this is a major turning point because in his past life, he didn't reach this level until after leaving the beginner area, which forced him to complete a lower value quest at level 15. This time, since he is still in the raging forest, the system assigns him to kill the guardian of the Red Rock Cavern. Su-Ming is pleased that the quest is located right inside the beginner dungeon, making his path forward much easier. To prepare, he allocates all his new stat points into agility. Due to his agility breaking through the 100 mark, he unlocks a platinum-grade passive skill called Sword Mastery. This powerful ability allows him to equip any sword-type weapon regardless of its level requirements, essentially guaranteeing his success in the upcoming challenge. Back at the First Academy in Xuanjing City, the atmosphere in the command center is thick with tension, as staff monitor the live ranking lists for the beginner dungeon. Large holographic screens display the top performers from various instances, but a major problem emerges when Principal Wang notices a glaring absence in the data. Because he had pinned all his hopes on Su-Ming, he is deeply concerned to see that the 10-star genius isn't even ranked in the top 500. A staff member tries to reassure him by pointing out that a swordmaster did secure a first kill title earlier that morning, which likely belongs to Su-Ming. but this does little to ease the principal's mind. He wonders how a student with perfect innate attributes and a starter gift pack could be struggling this much, assuming that even with poor skills, the boy should have been able to brute force his way into the rankings. The situation takes a turn for the worse when the deputy mayor of the city, and Ranling, bursts into the room in a fit of rage. He demands to know why the school's highly touted prospect is nowhere to be found on the leaderboards, accusing Principal Wang of inflating the boy's strength just to secure more resources for the school. Although the principal tries to explain that the swordmaster job has a notoriously weak early-stage combat power, the deputy mayor refuses to listen to excuses. He points out that other students like the demon hunter Yan Ze and the warrior Jiang Tang are already performing at an elite level. As a direct result of the school's perceived failure, the deputy mayor decides to slash their allocation of Tower Society qualification tokens from 3 down to 2. This is a devastating blow, since losing these tokens threatens the Academy's future ability to participate in high-level quests and growth opportunities. Unaware of the political firestorm he has caused, Su Ming arrives at the entrance of the Red Rock Cavern to begin his job change quest. He navigates through the dark rock formations, feeling fortunate that he avoided any major distractions on the way. Since he never explored this specific area in his past life, he is cautious as he enters the damp interior. His presence is immediately challenged by a blue-skinned gold-digger goblin, which he dispatches with a single, lightning-fast strike of his blade. Unfortunately, this quick kill backfires by triggering a cave-wide awareness notification. The system activates a specialized goblin mode, signaling that every monster in the cavern is now launching an organized assault on his position. Suddenly, the silence of the cave is replaced by the deafening sound of skittering feet as a massive horde of goblins led by a towering elite commander emerges from the shadows. The system explains that these creatures operate with a greedy and sloppy nature, yet they prove to be surprisingly tactical in their movements. As Su Ming engages the swarm, he begins to worry about his weapon's durability and his limited mana pool. He realizes he cannot rely on his high-speed divine step for a long-term battle, especially when the goblins begin firing volleys of arrows to catch him while he is mid-air and vulnerable. Because he currently lacks a wide variety of early-stage skills, taking this many enemies head-on is a genuine challenge even for a swordmaster of his caliber. To compensate for his lack of resources, the boy decides to switch to a more flexible strategy. He leaps across the cavern walls to stay mobile and lure the horde in, maintaining a dark and confident smile as he prepares to thin out the ranks of his organized attackers. Later, he stands before a snarling pack of goblins and mockingly offers them a small gift. He immediately unleashes a series of rapid, crescent-shaped energy slashes that tear through the monster horde. This energy arcs across the space and shreds the enemies, leaving behind trails of blood as the goblins are completely obliterated in a whirlwind of steel. Because he holds the high ground, Su Ming is able to secure an easy win and bring out the full advantage of his draw slash. Our boy calmly walks across the damp floor. He notes that the cave is now littered with corpses and realizes that only one creature is left standing. He looks toward the massive, slumped body of the elite goblin boss he has just defeated. Meanwhile, outside the cavern in the raging forest, a bald student pushes through the thick grass and points toward the cave entrance. He tells Yang Ding and his group that he heard fighting coming from inside that specific spot while he was scouting. Yang Ding dismisses the claim as a joke, arguing that since the system notes the monsters here are level 7 and above, nobody would dare challenge the place yet. However, the bald student remains nervous because of the battle sounds he heard, and they both stop when they hear footsteps echoing from the dark entrance. As a figure emerges from the mist, the group wonders who would dare farm here, only to realize it is the same brat who beat Yang Ding in the weapon bet. Our hero walks out with his hands in his pockets and ignores the group for a moment while looking at the sky. He has reached level 11 and reflects on how his first job change quest was risky, but turned out fine. Suddenly, Yang Ding lunges forward with a weapon swing, but Su Ming effortlessly sidesteps the attack. This failure causes Yang Ding's face to contort with rage, and he orders his lackeys to surround the protagonist so that he can't get away. Even though the team encircles him with weapons drawn, our boy remains completely unfazed and clarifies that he never intended to run. Yang Ding shouts that the hero made him take a huge financial loss and should blame his bad luck for being caught in the dungeon. Su Ming seems genuinely confused and asks who these people are, which causes a wave of embarrassment for the bullies. A lackey realizes the hero totally forgot about them, while Yang Ding screams that he shouldn't have forgotten the 5,000 coins he lost. Due to this insult, Yang Ding signals his team to charge and take him down. Our hero calmly remarks that forgetting someone is no reason to get violent and decides it is the perfect time to test a new skill. Su Ming flashes a dark smile and holds out his hand as a small artifact begins to pulse. He triggers a massive area of effect attack that sends energy rings expanding from his body. This strike hits all the students simultaneously and sends them flying to the ground in pain. Our hero considers the test a huge success and then extends his palm toward his sword, causing it to levitate. Yang Ding is blown backward by the pressure and stammers in disbelief, realizing that Su Ming is using sword control. He knows this is a skill that swordmasters usually don't learn until much later in their journey. As the blade flies through the air on its own with streaks of red light, Su Ming explains to himself that this was originally a silver-grade skill scroll dropped by the elite goblin. Because of his All Things Ascend talent, he was able to upgrade it to a gold-grade version that fits his style perfectly. He is pleased with this outcome since word will now spread that his job is just a standard swordmaster, helping him keep his mythical status hidden. After clearing the cavern, a golden holographic screen appears to show that he has obtained a hidden blueprint for a final reward chest. However, Su Ming stares at the coordinates with a drop of sweat on his head because the treasure is hidden even deeper in a second part of the cave involving goblin commerce and lifestyle. Later that morning at 11:30, a fire erupts in a different part of the forest. A group of female students cheers because they have successfully cleared all the monsters in their area together. One student credits their survival to Fenfen, their 7-star awakener, and suggests they go split the loot. Fenfen smiles and asks one of her teammates if she is too tired, but the teammate seems distracted. Suddenly, Fenfen's expression shifts to confusion as a thick mist swirls around the clearing. She begins to panic and spins around, realizing that one of her teammates has completely vanished even though she was just standing there. She looks at the empty ground and realizes that since the area was supposed to be clear, there should be nothing there. Fenfen's eyes widen in pure terror as a sharp sound echoes behind her, and she screams as she realizes her friend is actually gone. As Su Ming finishes reviewing the bizarre lore surrounding the local monsters, he finds himself genuinely disgusted by their reproductive biology. Since these goblins have such a short growth cycle and a desperate need to maintain their birth rate, they are known to kidnap female creatures of any species to sustain their population. Su Ming finds this information so strange that he begins running through the forest with a look of intense repulsion, questioning why the settings for this creature are so much more graphic in this life than in his previous one. He eventually stops in a misty clearing and consults his holographic map to confirm he has reached the correct coordinates. At first, he is confused as the area is empty and contains nothing but trees. He questions if the coordinates are wrong since there is no sign of a cavern anywhere in the woods. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet erupts in a violent explosion of dust and debris. As the smoke settles, he realizes he was being too literal. Given that the location is called Red Rock Cavern Part 2, most warriors would assume it was another mountain cave, but the Swordmaster understands that this specific challenge is combined with the element of buried treasure. This leads him to discover a massive underground den filled with fire and rising smoke. He notes that the location is actually a hidden pit, and the monsters are clever enough to use the thick smoke to camouflage the entrance from the surface. As he peers over the ledge with an intense gaze, he observes a lone goblin wandering below. Su Ming reminds himself that the social structure of these creatures means that killing even a single one will alert the entire den. Intending to be stealthy for the sake of the treasure, he is suddenly interrupted by the sight of two female students trapped in the smoke and surrounded by a mob. Su Ming realizes these challengers were ambushed by the smoke trap and notes that the goblins are acting just as predatory as their lore suggested. As he watches from the shadows of the ledge, he sees a student named Jiang Yunqing cowering against a wall while holding her staff. She is visibly terrified as the monsters snarl at her. Initially, our protagonist decides to be cold and detached, thinking that her presence is actually a perfect distraction. He believes that if the goblins are busy killing her, it will be much easier for him to dig up his treasure without being noticed. He justifies this by telling himself she should have known better than to enter a dungeon she didn't have the strength to handle. However, the girl begins to scream in total desperation, promising a massive reward to anyone who saves her. When she shouts that her sister is the vice director of the Zhong'an Financial Group, Su Ming's eyes widen in surprise. He recognizes the name and realizes she is the younger sister of the woman who tried to hire him earlier. Just as two goblins leap at the girl with their claws bared, the Swordmaster intervenes. He uses his sword control skill to send his blade spinning through the air, trailing red energy as it slams into the ground to create a protective barrier. He then prepares his signature draw/technique. As he unsheathes the blade, it releases a massive explosion that fills the entire underground chamber. This is a strategic move, as he is exploiting the fact that goblins live in dark tunnels and are naturally weak against intense light. With the monsters completely disoriented and blinded, Su Ming is able to walk right past them without having to kill a single one. This prevents him from triggering the den's alarm system, ensuring the rest of the horde doesn't chase them. Jiang Yunqing is breathless and exhausted, but she manages to thank her savior and introduce herself. Our protagonist looks at her and remembers the photo her sister showed him, confirming her identity. Despite her gratitude and her repeated promises of a financial reward, the swordmaster remains distant. He tells her he was simply passing through and warns her not to follow him. He makes it clear that he has already saved her once, and that her lack of strength will only drag him down if she stays with him. The girl is too afraid to be left alone, so she follows him quietly as he checks his map one last time. He finds a specific patch of ground and confirms that the blinded goblins haven't followed them. Beneath the dirt, he discovers a large wooden treasure chest. This is a silver-quality random lottery chest, which is considered the highest possible drop for this dungeon level. Su-ming decides to maximize his luck by activating his All Things Ascend talent. As he touches the wood, it erupts in a brilliant golden glow and transforms into a gold lower-grade lottery chest. Jang Yunking watches in awe as the chest begins a slot machine-style animation. Su-ming explains to himself that these lottery chests are valuable due to a high probability of yielding items far above the current dungeon rank. As the light fades, 2 high-tier rewards appear before him. A system notification confirms that he has successfully obtained the Shadow Flow armor set and a Soul Healer skill scroll. But his initial excitement turns to confusion since the rewards feel mismatched. While the armor appears sturdy and useful, the Platinum-grade Soul Healer skill scroll is a specialized support item that doesn't align with his offensive swordmaster job. He wonders why his hard work on the job change quest resulted in such a specific drop, until he notices Jang Yun-king acting shyly nearby. With her revealing that her awakened job is actually a 7-star soul healer, the mystery of the drop is solved. The system immediately registers their proximity and forms a party, appointing Su-ming as the leader. The focus shifts to a violent scene elsewhere in the forest at Naino, where a red-haired student from a rival city is committing a brutal massacre. This savage warrior is working on a dark job change quest that requires him to kill 50 other players. Having already claimed 33 lives, he mockingly declares that the weak have no place in this world and sets his sights on his next target. He corners Ji Yao, who is already exhausted and bruised from the hunt. Her skeleton summon lies shattered on the ground, proving how much she has struggled to stay alive. By 12:30, Ji Yao is barely able to breathe as the shadow of the red-haired killer looms over her. The attacker is actually impressed that she lasted so long, noting that while she has skill, she is still just a student from the Xuanjing Academy, which he considers full of trash. When Ji Yao demands to know why a student from the neighboring Wuyang city would invade their dungeon to kill innocents, the villain explains his cold logic. As his level 10 quest requires 50 player kills, he chose to fly his private jet to their region specifically to target what he perceives as the softest and weakest students. He mocks her defense and shatters her newly summoned skeleton with a single strike of blade. Just as he launches a massive crescent wave to finish her off, a burst of energy intercepts the blow. A group of classmates emerges from the mist to cover Ji Yao's retreat, creating a temporary standoff. At 12 p.m. in the cavern, Su-ming submits his treasure fragments to the system to finalize his own progression. The resulting energy surge triggers his first transition, evolving his job from a standard swordmaster into the legendary sword god. This advancement grants him a massive boost to all attributes and doubles the power, speed, and proficiency gain of his sword techniques through his upgraded mythical talent. Jang Yun-king watches in awe as she successfully learns the Soul Healer scroll our hero provided. The skill, called Soul Boost, is a platinum-tier ability that provides a staggering 200% experience increase for the entire party. Su-ming is shocked by the sheer power of this leveling buff, and realizes that Jang Yun-king possesses incredible luck. Given that this skill is so valuable for his own growth, he immediately changes his mind about working alone. He officially agrees to help the girl clear the rest of the beginner dungeon. Jiang Yunqing is thrilled, explaining that the professional mercenaries her sister hired were all killed earlier, but she feels safe knowing Su-ming was able to solo the Goblin Den. Although he usually dislikes wealthy students who use money to buy shortcuts, he accepts the situation for the sake of the massive experience boost as they prepare to hunt the hidden boss together. Suddenly he notices a message on his interface. Since the sender is Ji Yao, he is immediately intrigued. This curiosity is sharply interrupted by a shift to a nearby scene of absolute carnage. A red-haired warrior named Li Chengguang is currently brutalizing a group of students, using his massive physical strength to slam a victim into the earth. An emerald strike of energy suddenly descends from the sky like a spear, identified as a demon-sealing arrow. This attack causes a massive shockwave upon impact, but it fails to stop the attacker. Since Li Chengguang is so powerful, he breaks through the skill with a single strike, leaving the archer Yan Zhe in a state of shock. When another student attempts to run toward the red-haired monster, the attacker responds with a crimson blade flying thrust. The blade sinks into the student's head, leaving him screaming in agony. As the smoke clears, Yanzi and Ji Yao stand together amidst a field of their fallen teammates. They realize they are facing a level of strength far beyond a normal student. Since Yanzi did his research before entering the dungeon, he identifies their opponent as the genius from the neighboring Wuyang city. This is Li Chengguang, a hidden job blade berserker with a perfect 10-star innate talent. The villain looks at the surviving duo with total contempt, noting that he still needs 15 more kills to reach the 50 required for his quest. Yanza is in a desperate situation as his mana is nearly empty and he can no longer summon undead to create distance. When he asks if backup is coming, Ji Yao looks at him with eyes full of sadness and confirms that they are truly alone. Li Chengguang narrows his eyes with murderous intent and decides to eliminate the annoying archer first. As he lunges forward, Ji Yao bravely leaps into his path and raises her staff to block the blow. Even though she is being pushed back by his overwhelming power, she screams for Yanzi to run. Li Chengguang mocks her for being a weakling who has no right to save anyone. A massive explosion of power consumes the area as his attack lands, leaving Ji Yao collapsed on the ground. Just as the villain prepares to finish her, a silhouette appears on the cliffside above. This is Su Ming, who has arrived after reading the message Ji Yao sent him. Interestingly, the message wasn't a cry for help, but a warning for him to stay away from the dangerous area. Our hero reflects on his past life, remembering how Ji Yao died in his arms while trying to protect him. Since she is still prioritizing the safety of others even in this life, he feels a surge of protective rage. Su Ming leaps from the cliff and lands gracefully between his friend and the attacker. He looks back with confident smile and tells her to stop worrying about everyone else, declaring that he will be the one to protect her this time. The Swordmaster immediately activates his sword control skill, causing his blade to levitate and spin with red sparks. Li Chengguang is caught off guard by this high-level technique and staggers back. The sword zips through the air to clash with the villain's weapon, allowing our hero to strike from above with a face contorted by fury. He calls the attacker a red-haired punk and delivers a crushing blow, demanding to know why he dared to hurt Ji Yao. While the two 10-star geniuses clash, Yanze watches with renewed hope. Suddenly, green healing crosses begin to pulse around his body. He is confused by the source of the magic until Zhang Yunqing appears with her staff. She introduces herself as a soul healer and Su Ming's teammate. While Yanza is relieved to finally have support, Ji Yao is quietly surprised as she remembers Su Ming saying he never works in a party. Zhang Yunqing admits she is still getting used to her new skills and needs a moment to fully stabilize them. Yanzi urges her to hurry since he is worried about Su Ming facing the berserker alone, but the healer reassures him that our boy is much stronger than he looks. Back in the center of the fight, the two warriors clash repeatedly. Li Chengguang clenches his teeth in frustration as he cannot understand how a mere swordmaster possesses such incredible footwork and speed, given that Su Ming continues to dodge his heavy strikes effortlessly. Li Chengguang openly acknowledges that he is impressed to find a fellow 10-star awakener in such a place. The crimson-haired warrior introduces himself as the elite blade berserker from Wuyang City and challenges Su Ming to a duel to prove which academy truly produces the stronger fighter. Our guy remains remarkably steady since he recognizes the name of his opponent. He recalls that this man was a major power player in his past life, yet he finds it interesting that they are crossing paths so much earlier this time around. He lunges forward to meet the challenge, declaring that they should let their weapons decide the winner. A violent energy erupts as their blades collide, sending sparks flying through the air. During the struggle, Li Chengguang executes a flying thrust that releases a red energy projectile. Su Ming initially wonders why the berserker would intentionally leave an opening for a flying blade, but he quickly realizes it was a trap. The energy from the strike transforms into bands that lock the hero in place, leaving him momentarily immobilized. Li Chengguang laughs and orders him to die as he sends a blade whistling toward the protagonist's head. Since he is a veteran of 1,000 battles, Su Ming doesn't panic. He activates his sword control skill, causing his weapon to spin at a high frequency to deflect the incoming threat. This creates a massive explosion of energy that shatters the surrounding ground and blows the smoke outward, effectively canceling the immobilization effect. He tells the villain that it is now his turn as he summons his sword back into his hand. Since Li Chengguang is currently weaponless after his throw, the swordmaster delivers a swift slash across his chest that draws blood and leaves the berserker wincing in agony. Li Chengguang tries to regain the advantage by pointing out that our boy has also released his grip on his sword to use the flying technique. However, Su Ming responds by activating his divine step. He moves with such incredible speed, performing a chaotic shadow strike that leaves his opponent unable to track his movements. The swordmaster reappears behind the villain and catches his returning blade, casually noting that he has his weapon back just in time. As this happens, Zhang Yunqing confirms that the healing for the rest of the group is complete. Yanza rush into the clearing to assist, but they stop mid-sentence in total shock. As the smoke has cleared, they see the legendary 10-star student standing tall while the fearsome Li Chengguang is forced to his knees. Ji Yao and Yanza can only gape with starry-eyed admiration, amazed that Su Ming finished off such a dangerous opponent in the short time it took them to recover. Unfortunately, the victory is short-lived. Zhang Yunqing spots a shadow moving in the smoke and screams a warning. Li Chengguang lunges forward with a jagged blade, claiming he has found an opening while the hero was distracted. Our boy appears to be struck and begins to fall, which causes Ji Yao to scream in terror. The villain roars and unleashes his ultimate technique, known as the Rain of Blades. Countless red swords fall from the sky like a storm, skewering the earth and creating a lethal blade formation. Li Chengguang laughs maniacally at the destruction he has caused, but Ji Yao refuses to give up. She tries to sprint into the danger zone to save her friend, forcing Yanzhe to physically hold her back. He warns her that rushing into the formation is suicide, but she yells in desperation, willing to sacrifice her life if it means protecting her savior. Just as the chaos reaches a peak, a calm voice echoes from the center of the destruction. Suming tells Ji Yao to listen to her teammate and stay away. Since he is still standing and composed, Ji Yao looks on in surprise, realizing her hero is far from defeated. Li Chengguang unleashes a brutal barrage on Suming, seemingly mangling him in a spray of blood. However, his shock grows as the wounded figure dissolves into energy, revealing itself as a mere decoy. Following a voice from behind, the sweating villain looks up to find the real swordmaster standing unharmed on a nearby cliff. Our boy moves in front of his opponent and casually sheathes his weapon. He notes that the berserker finally noticed the trick, pointing out that his enemy never imagined a standard swordmaster would possess such a high-level ability. A system interface reveals that Su Ming is equipped with the Shadow Blade set, a platinum-tier collection. As he has all 5 pieces active, he can use the Shadow Clone set skill while gaining additional dark attribute damage on all his attacks. Li Chengguang staggers back in disbelief since collectible gear sets are not supposed to exist within a beginner dungeon. He concludes that the only way Su Ming could have this power is by having already completed a major milestone. The protagonist confirms this suspicion, declaring that he finished his primary job change quest long ago. This revelation causes the villain to grind his teeth in fury, realizing he has been completely outclassed and beaten to the goal. Our hero lunges forward and delivers a barrage of sword slashes, treating the once feared genius as nothing more than prey. In a desperate move, Li Chengguang reaches for a blue diamond-shaped object amidst the chaos. Suddenly, a massive yellow light erupts from the ground and consumes the area, forcing Su Ming to shield his eyes from the glare. Yanzu and the others watch with their mouths open as the light carries the villain away. Yanzhe explains to the confused girls that the attacker used a life-saving accessory to force an emergency exit from the dungeon. Since these items cost tens of thousands of coins and cannot be found inside the trial, Su Ming realizes the neighboring city spent a fortune to protect their prize student. The scene shifts to the Academy Command Center where Principal Wang and a staff member monitor the real-time data. At 2 p.m., the staff members notice something strange on the map. She points out a red sector where multiple players died between 12 p.m. and 12:30 p.m. While the principal initially assumes they just ran into tough monsters, the data shows these students were actually killed by players from a different region. Principal Wang stands in shock, realizing the neighboring city is sabotaging their students. He orders the data logs saved, noting that Xuanjing Academy is often targeted as they usually rank at the bottom of the clearance lists. When the principal asks about their own students' progress, the staff member reports that things are going well. Surveillance footage shows large raid groups forming to push toward the dungeon boss stages. Zheng Tang is leading one of these charges, having climbed to level 9 and nearing level 10. Principal Wang is pleased to see the young master's potential, hoping he can take down the boss to win some pride for the school. The real-time leaderboard confirms that Zheng Tang is tied for first place. Yanzhe is also at the top, followed closely by Ji Yao at level 7 and Zhang Yunqing at level 8. Searching for his star pupil, the principal is horrified to find that Su Ming is not on the upper rankings. He demands to know the boy's current level, only to have his jaw drop when the staff member reveals he is only level 2. As the data shows he hasn't leveled up since getting the first kill title hours ago, the faculty believes he has completely stalled. In reality, at 2:30 p.m., a sword pierces through an elite fang beast. Our protagonist stands over the fallen monster as a system window confirms the kill and his advancement to level 14. This milestone unlocks a hidden set appearance for his gear. Ji Yao and Yanze are standing nearby, amazed that they have leveled up several times in just 2 hours. Yanze is now level 10, which qualifies him to challenge the standard dungeon boss. Su Ming credits their rapid growth to Zhang Yunqing's experience buff skill. The healer looks at him with gratitude, reminding him that she only has that amazing ability since he gave it to her. Ji Yao is thrilled with their party lineup, noting that they have a perfect balance of experience boosts, healing, ranged damage, and skeletal summons. Most importantly, she feels they are being carried by a total monster. Our hero remains humble, suggesting he is just freeloading off their strengths, but Ji Yao reminds him that they would have died against Li Chengguang without his intervention. While the group feels ready to clear the standard boss, Su-ming looks at his map and reveals that his target is much more difficult. He stands and reveals a blue scepter-like key he looted from the Fang Beast. He explains that he is aiming for the hidden boss, which requires solving 3 riddles from the dungeon notes. The first riddle mentions a silver moon and a cold abyss. He explains that since there is no weather system, the moon must refer to a specific moon-shaped plant. This leads him to a dark lake where the hidden entrance lies. He explains the second riddle was solved earlier when he collected an iris flower from the 8-monster zone. Finally, he uses the water ripple key mentioned in the third riddle. By holding the star-patterned key over the iris flower, he causes the items to glow with energy. This triggers a massive whirlpool in the center of the lake, leaving his teammates in total shock at his detective skills. As the water begins to churn, a giant dark sword emerges from the depths and points toward the sky, signaling the arrival of the ultimate challenge. This disturbance culminates in the emergence of a towering knight clad in heavy armor, seated atop a mechanical horse-like mount. The legendary guardian of the lake, known as the Lost Knight, has finally broken through the emerald waves of the cold abyss. Digital red warning boxes pulse through the air to signal the detection of this S-rank hidden threat. To prepare for the confrontation, a system notifications appear as Yanze and Ji Yao officially synchronize with the party, with the system designating Su-ming as the leader. Our boy looks back at his teammates with fierce determination and orders everyone to prepare for the battle of their lives. Once the combat officially initiates, 15 minutes pass with the group transitioned into a tactical formation. The red-armored knight is actively searching for a target, forcing the 4 warriors to hide as dark silhouettes within the tall grass. Yanze and Ji Yao crouch low in the brush with visible concern, questioning if hiding is actually a viable strategy, or if they should attempt a different approach. As the ground shakes from the boss galloping past their position at high speed, Su-ming points out the primary problem. He realizes that with the knight's mount's speed reaching 500 points, their combined agility isn't even half of what is required to catch him. This overwhelming power is put on full display when the perspective shifts to a group of ordinary students nearby who are screaming in terror. They are caught off guard by a level 19 hidden boss appearing in a beginner area and are instantly cut down by the knight's flashing blade. From the safety of the trees, Su-ming and his team observe this carnage. Zhang Yunqing notes that since they are the ones who summoned this monster, they have a responsibility to act quickly. Ji Yao reports that she has successfully followed orders by using all her mana potions to set up a series of delayed traps, prompting our hero to signal Yanze and Yunqing to begin the next phase of the plan. While staring into the distance, the protagonist reflects on the rarity of this moment. In his past life, he never challenged this specific hidden boss because most awakeners are too afraid to risk such a fight so early in their journey. He understands that since so few people ever decode the riddles, the knight's true form and its massive speed stat remained a secret to almost everyone. To kill this monster, he realizes they must first knock it off its horse to negate its mobility advantage. The execution begins as Yanzi draws back a green bowstring and unleashes a barrage of energy arrows in a multi-shot hunt. Although the arrows impact all around the Lost Knight and create green explosions, they simply bounce off the boss's level 5 heavy armor. This attack is actually a feint to switch the Guardian's aggression. Once the boss looks toward the cliff, Yanzi confirms he has pulled the target's attention, allowing Zhang Yunqing to cast a spell that creates a thick cloud of fire and smoke. Our hero explains the logic of this strategy, noting that the first step involves Yanzi pulling the boss toward them, while the second step uses Yunqing's smokescreen to blind the rider. He finds it clever that they are using a trick learned from the Goblin Den to hide the trail entrance. As the Lost Knight rides blindly into the smog, the ground beneath him erupts. Dozens of skeletal hands burst from the earth to grab the mechanical horse's legs, pinning it in place with a massive skeleton horde. A purple magical seal expands on the ground to activate the delayed trap, which Ji Yao explains is a technique where basic summoning skills are stacked together. To further secure the kill, Zhang Yunqing raises her staff to cast a soul drain, which slows the knight's movements with blue energy. Su-ming watches the success of these combined steps from above, acknowledging that without the teamwork of his allies to lock the boss down, he might not have been able to farm such a high-level enemy. With the knight finally immobilized, Su-ming descends from the ledge and grabs the boss from behind with all his might to force the rider off his mount. Due to this sudden impact, the red-armored knight loses his balance and is thrown from the saddle while the horse is pushed back. As the dust settles and the knight lies on the ground, Zhang Yunqing and Ji Yao celebrate the success of knocking the boss off his horse. However, Ji Yao remains serious and focused, warning the group not to lower their guard since this is only the first phase of the fight. 10 minutes earlier, the party had gathered to discuss the risks of Su-ming's plan. Ji Yao pointed out that while the strategy was solid, it would completely drain her and Yunking's magical reserves. She was concerned that they wouldn't have any power left to damage the boss after the initial takedown. Our hero responded with a confident smile, telling them it was fine and that they just needed to leave the rest of the battle to him. Back in the present, Su Ming prepares to take on the dismounted Lost Knight alone and rushes forward with extreme speed. The two engage in a rapid exchange of blows where sparks fly as our boy parries a heavy strike and counters with several quick slashes. This battle creates a massive whirlwind of energy in the center of the forest, leaving Yanzi in awe of the hero's ability to go blow for blow with a hidden boss. Even though he is impressed, Yanzi grips his bow and tries to jump in to help since he still has some skills left. Ji Yao immediately stops him, reminding him that Su Ming told them to trust him and that they have their own specific mission to complete. Our protagonist then activates his Divine Step skill and becomes enveloped in a fiery red aura. Because of this boost, he moves forward with intense speed and strikes the Lost Knight multiple times from different angles, while the boss struggles to defend against the heavy impacts. Su Ming appears behind the boss with cold eyes, noting that the Guardian is far too slow without its mount. A system window confirms that the knight's actual speed has dropped to 55 points, proving it is nothing special on its own. Su Ming swings his sword in a wide toward the knight and prepares a final strike to end the fight. A massive explosion of light and energy consumes the area, but the Lost Knight manages to survive by holding up its sword to block. Unfortunately, a warning notification pops up for Su Ming showing that his weapon durability has dropped to 7%. This is a problem since the low durability greatly reduces his damage output, and the boss's heavy armor attribute makes it difficult to finish him off. The knight realizes he is in danger and turns to run back toward the forest to reunite with his horse. Our boy watches him flee and acknowledges that the boss is clever for trying to regain his mounted speed advantage. However, he remains menacingly happy knowing the horse is no longer available. Elsewhere, the horse is shown bound by blue magical chains and ropes. Yanzi and Ji Yao are pulling the chains to restrain the beast, while Yunqing uses her magic to slow it down. They are determined to keep the horse trapped, because they know this task is the critical mission Su Ming entrusted to them. This connects back to the final part of the hero's plan, where he explained that while he handled the boss, his allies had the vital job of ensuring the rider could never get back on his mount. Su Ming initiates the battle with a powerful draw slash, forcing the heavily armored Lost Knight to defend itself. Because of the scale of the attack, the boss responds with a water-based energy eruption that shatters the surrounding ground. The Swordmaster manages to stay safe by weaving through the debris, taking note of the monster's high-level skills while maintaining a low stance for his next move. Looking up at the towering knight, our boy begins to channel a red energy arc around his body. He utilizes his sword control skill to send his weapon flying through the air, delivering a series of high-speed impacts against the boss. While the hero maintains intense focus on manipulating his blade, a system warning appears to show that his weapon durability has plummeted to a critical 3%. He continues to leap through the air and clash with the armored knight, but he realizes he cannot afford to waste any more of his weapon's remaining life. Luckily, he notices red runes and cracks spreading across the knight's chest plate, signaling that the heavy armor is on the verge of breaking. He continues with multiple sword slashes. The Lost Knight lunges forward in response, as it drives its blade through the hero's chest. Blood sprays across the silver armor, and the knight looms over the wounded warrior. However, the image of the hero dissolves, revealing it was only a decoy. The real Su Ming appears from behind, remarking that the trick is just as effective against monsters as it is against human players. Standing in the blue mist, the boy radiates an aura as his full equipment set activates. He offers a confident smile, clearly satisfied with the power boost provided by his gear. He uses his sword control once more to send his blade zipping through the air, causing slashes. This relentless pressure causes the knight's heavy armor to finally shatter into fragments. As Su Ming leaps high into the air to finish the job, his current sword completely shatters because its durability is fully depleted. This doesn't slow him down, as he reaches to draw out a sleek, dark energy shadow blade. He holds the new weapon with a smile, knowing the fight is over. By 3:30 in the afternoon, the scene shifts to the communications room at Xuanjing Academy. Principal Wang enters the tech space to find several other principals already waiting for him on holographic screens. One principal mockingly points out that the academy from Xuanjing is the last to arrive, suggesting that perhaps no students there have been able to challenge a boss yet. Principal Wang tries to defend his school by noting that clearance results usually arrive after 3, but the other leaders remind him that his academy is typically dead last anyway. The principal remains serious, explaining that his delay was caused by real-time data showing that outside players snuck into his school's dungeon. He accuses the other cities of causing trouble, specifically pointing out that the victims were killed with blade skills similar to those used by the Wuyang Academy genius, Li Chengguang. The principal from Wuyang, known as Old Si, becomes defensive and demands evidence, claiming that Li Chengguang is currently busy challenging their own city's final boss. Other principals begin to boast about their own progress, with some academies already pushing their bosses into a second phase. Principal Wang looks down at the 2 Tower Society tokens in his hand with a worried expression. He realizes that if his academy doesn't achieve a first clear this year, they will be left with the lowest number of qualification tickets in their history. He places all his hopes on Zhang Tang, believing him to be the student closest to clearing a boss. Meanwhile, back at 15 minutes past 3, Zhang Tang is shown in the forest desperately ordering his teammates to charge. He screams for them to use all their mana to kill the final boss, a massive one-horned beast man named Shinba. Unfortunately, the level 15 monster proves to be too powerful, striking down students with bloody punches. As the other students cry out in terror that they are no match for the beast, a bruised and exhausted Zhang Tang refuses to give up, obsessed with claiming the dungeon reward for himself. He suddenly receives a message from the scarred Ren Xiaoman pleads for revenge, sending Zhang Tang into a disheveled fury. Vowing to avenge her by seizing the dungeon's final reward, he lunges at the beastman Shinba with his mace raised high. Unfortunately for him, the monster suddenly vanishes into the night before the blow can land. This causes the surrounding students to freeze in confusion while the forest is bathed in a strange blue digital glow. Zhang Tang stops his assault and looks up in disbelief since digital grids and particles are filling the air to signal a massive system event. An announcement banner appears in the dark sky for every player to see, declaring that the hidden boss has been defeated. The system congratulates the victorious party for slaying the lost knight and instructs all players to prepare for their return home. Back at the lake bed, Su Ming stands over the dissolving remains of the knight with a calm smile. He observes that the battle is finally over while his teammates watch him from a distance in total shock. Ji Yao is filled with a sense of relief and awe as she realizes that Su Ming has successfully achieved the impossible by soloing the hidden boss. The scene shifts to the Academy Command Center where Principal Wang and others stare at a blindingly display. On side screens, the principals from other cities are equally stunned and begin arguing that the victory must belong to their own elite students like Li Chengguang. However, Principal Wang's eyes widen behind his glasses as a notification reveals that the winning school is actually Xuanjing Academy. Outside the dungeon, a total frenzy erupts among the students who are stunned to learn that a hidden boss even existed. They wonder which legendary team could have pulled off such a feat, assuming it must have been Zhang Tang's group. Meanwhile, our hero stares at his own results screen as an experience bar confirms he has reached level 16. Jia runs up with excitement because her own level, along with the rest of the party, has jumped up by 2 stages. Su Ming turns to face his exhausted but happy friends and suggests they split the loot before the exit portal opens. Interestingly, Yanze and Zhang Yunqing both protest, claiming they don't need any rewards since they are just happy to be alive and leveled up. Yanze explains that from being saved from Li Chenggang's blade to watching the hero solve the hidden secret, he feels he didn't contribute enough to justify taking any treasure. The protagonist ignores these protests and taps his interface to distribute the loot. He presents a holographic spirit-suppressing decay bow to a stunned Yanze, followed by a white heart-soul necklace for Zhang Yunqing and a glowing item for Ji Yao. Both girls look at the equipment with wide eyes as our boy offers a warm smile. He explains that since the boss dropped exclusive rewards tailored to each of their specific jobs, it proves that the dungeon itself acknowledges their contribution. He encourages them by stating that without their help, the challenge never would have been completed. As the system confirms the final clearance of the raging forest, a blue portal opens in the middle of the woods. A final stat box shows the clear time was exactly 8 hours and 20 minutes. Su Ming notes that the dungeon is entering the settlement phase, where contribution rewards are handled in the real world. He informs his team that an exit portal will appear beside every surviving player, so he looks back one last time to congratulate them on surviving the challenge. Outside the portal at 4:30 p.m., the atmosphere is heavy with sorrow. Many students have collapsed to their knees in tears because their friends and loved ones haven't returned. Ji Yao cries as she realizes only 10 students from their class survived, and Yanzi notes that he is the only one left from his original squad. Standing in the middle of this grieving crowd, the Swordmaster reflects on how the world has been since the first awakening day. He views it as a survival of the fittest environment, where some find joy and power, while others are broken by loss. He concludes that only by constantly becoming stronger can anyone survive this insane world. Suddenly, a screen featuring Principal Wang appears above the students. He delivers a stern but paternal speech, explaining that this dungeon was their final lesson as graduating students. He tells them that being an awakened one represents responsibility and peace, rather than just money or honor. Ji Yao watches Su Ming with tears in her eyes and asks if he feels sad or happy about the loss of their classmates. Su Ming calmly tells her that those classmates will revive. Just then, Principal Wang announces that the true meaning of this lesson involves understanding the value of life, and he reveals that everyone who died in the dungeon will actually revive in 30 minutes. As the students shout in disbelief and relief, the principal explains that the lost ones will soon return to their sides. Su Ming turns and begins to walk away from the crowd, leaving Ji Yao in a state of shock. She watches him go and wonders how he could possibly have known about the revival before the principal even mentioned it. Digital notifications flash as the dungeon settlement phase begins. A series of profile cards appear to break down the efforts of the survivors, beginning with Li Guanran, who managed to take down a few rabbits and a chicken for a small handful of coins. Songjue follows with a slightly higher contribution for defeating an elite cat, while Zhang Xiaoyu shows more significant effort by clearing out dozens of monkeys and jackals. However, these numbers pale in comparison when the name Su Ming appears. The boy's achievement list is staggering, as he single-handedly eliminated hundreds of beasts and cleared the goblin mines. Because he completed his job change quest and conquered the hidden boss without taking damage, the system awards him a perfect S rank and the Rookie King title. This honor provides a permanent boost to his attributes and skill proficiency. Consequently, his total dungeon contribution reaches a nearly impossible 91%. Inside the academy chamber, Principal Wang stands in awe while staring at these statistics. When Su Ming finally walks into the room, the principal notes that he is late, only for the guy to casually respond that he simply overslept. The principal ignores the excuse as he is too busy celebrating the fact that Su Ming secured first place not just in the school, but across the entire city. Looking at the final rankings, Su Ming sees his name at the top at level 16, leaving his classmates and rivals trailing far behind. He realizes that since the ceremony is over, there is no longer any need to hide his power or modify his information. He knows that from this point forward, the gap between his strength and that of his peers will only continue to grow. Suddenly, the atmosphere turns comical as the principal loses his composure and begins sobbing while clinging tightly to the hero's leg. He thanks him profusely, explaining that Xuanjing Academy is usually in last place and has finally been able to hold its head high. Due to Su Ming's success, the rival principal from Wuyang Academy was left speechless after years of mocking them. The principal is especially thrilled that Su Ming outranked the famous Li Chengguang, who apparently suffered an accident that delayed his progress. When asked how a lone boy managed to kill a hidden boss without family resources or expensive gear, Su Ming simply attributes it to luck. He claims he was fortunate enough to find useful items and a great team, secretly knowing he can't reveal his status as a reincarnator. This explanation makes the principal beam with pride, as he now views the boy as both a genius fighter and an excellent leader. He mentions that the other top students already stopped by to claim their prizes, and that Ji Yao spent the whole time praising the hero's coolness. Su Ming feels a bit embarrassed by this, knowing how much his friend loves to compliment others. The principal then presents a golden wooden token, which is the highly coveted Tower Society qualification. With the academy performing so well, even the skeptical deputy mayor was forced to allocate 5 tokens to the school instead of the usual 3. Su Ming accepts the item with a smile, already knowing exactly what it represents. While most graduates are forced to grind slowly through dangerous low-level dungeons, this token allows him to bypass the slow start and access a much faster training path with abundant rewards. He reflects on how he lacked this advantage in his previous life, and determines that this time, he will seize every opportunity to prepare for the future. After a serious handshake, the principal officially graduates the boy, reminding him that the world outside is no longer a simulation. In the real world, every challenge is a gamble where failure can result in permanent death. Su Ming acknowledges the warning and departs, leaving the academy behind for good. The scene shifts to the wealthy district of the city, where Zhang Yunqing has safely returned to her lavish home. Her father is overjoyed to see her and assumes the professional guards hired by his eldest daughter were responsible for her third-place finish. Luckily, Zhanglan is honest and admits that the credit actually belongs to Su Ming. Yunqing explains that the original guards were wiped out by a trap, and that she would have failed if the hero hadn't appeared to carry her through the dungeon. She describes him as an incredibly skilled challenger who gave her top-tier equipment and skills. Zhanglan realizes that this is the same student who refused her money at the weapon shop, and she notes that fate is strange for bringing them together anyway. Seeing how highly both daughters think of the boy, the father decides they must eventually find a way to properly thank him for his help. He instructs his eldest, Zhanglan, to find the boy's contact information while he arranges for a professional chef to prepare a celebratory feast. However, the joyful atmosphere shifts instantly when the chairman receives an urgent phone call. He initially tries to cancel his upcoming appointments to focus on his family, but he is forced to stop in his tracks as his staff delivers a shocking report. It turns out that over the past 2 days, a series of assassins have been targeting their people, and the evidence points directly to the rival Zhang family as the masterminds behind the hits. 2 days later, the focus shifts to Su Ming as he prepares for the next stage of his journey. Ji Yao calls him on his smartphone to remind him of their scheduled departure for the Tower Realm, sounding worried that he might try to head off on another solo mission. He offers a slight smile and reassures her that he has spent the last 48 hours gathering everything he needs and will meet the group shortly. This transition to the Tower Society is made possible by the golden token Su-ming received from Principal Wang. As the boy recalls his briefing, he remembers that the token acts as a key to summon a personal transport portal that is exclusive to qualified individuals. Standing outdoors, he raises the golden artifact and triggers the identification process. With the system recognizing his status, a massive swirling vortex appears, and he steps through with a look of pure determination, ready to face the legendary challenges of the Tower Society. He soon arrives at a magnificent floating realm characterized by ancient Chinese-style pagodas nestled among the clouds. Su-ming realizes he is standing at the entrance of the 100-layer tower, the heart of the society's domain. While he explores the majestic environment, he notices other elite students from across the country being teleported in. He reflects on his past life, noting that he originally only gained access to this prestigious area much later in his career through sheer luck. He feels a surge of genuine excitement at the prospect of challenging the tower again with his current advantages. After passing through a digital fingerprint scanner to confirm his identity, he enters a cavernous assembly hall. He is immediately struck by the fact that the lobby in this timeline is significantly larger than the one he remembers, suggesting that the scale of the competition has grown. Luckily, he doesn't have to search long for his allies as Ji Yao calls out to him from the crowd. She is waiting with Yanze and Zhang Yunqing and is clearly frustrated by the boy's habit of traveling alone. She scolds him for making them wait, but the group quickly reconciles as they begin walking through the hall. Ji Yao explains that their shared hardships in the beginner dungeon have turned them into close comrades. She emphasizes the importance of sticking together, especially since they are the only representatives from Xuanjing Academy and need to watch each other's backs in this unfamiliar territory. Their conversation is violently interrupted when a large hand reaches out for Su-ming. A disheveled and enraged Zhang Tang lunges at Su-ming, causing a shockwave that draws the attention of nearby onlookers. Zhang Tang screams that he is there to settle the score for the injuries Su-ming inflicted on Ren Xiaoman. Since he was unable to find the hero during the dungeon trial, the young master is stunned that the worthless orphan actually managed to secure a Tower Society qualification. Despite the physical threat and the blue aura of aggression radiating from his enemy, our protagonist remains completely unbothered. Su-ming calmly smiles and tells Zhang Tang to relax, noting that their personal grievances cannot be settled in this specific location. Just as Zhang Tang prepares to strike again, a massive bolt of lightning strikes him down. A system announcement warns that combat and disruptive behavior are strictly forbidden within the society's grounds. As Zhang Tang lies on the ground recovering from the shock, our boy looks down on him and suggests they settle their business properly after the tower event ends. Yanze realizes that even though no officials are visible, the entire assembly is being monitored by powerful observers from above. As medical staff arrive to haul the defeated Zhang Tang away, Su-ming signals for his team to follow him toward the back of the hall. Ji Yao is confused and asks why they aren't joining the long queues to read the official challenge guides. Su-ming explains that those guides are only for beginners who don't know the layout of the system. He leads them to a row of empty seats and tells them that the real secret to starting the process lies there. Although Ji Yao is skeptical since this is technically his first time at the academy, she follows his lead and sits down. As a result of following his instructions to wait quietly, the group is amazed when the Tower Society's specialized selection interface suddenly materializes directly in front of them. A digital screen appears to life, officially welcoming the new challengers to the 100-layer tower entry trial. Because this is a floor-climbing gauntlet, Su-ming realizes his performance here will directly determine his future ranking and entry tier within the society. Ji Yao and Zhang Yunqing quickly follow his lead, taking their seats in the chairs as their own holographic interfaces materialize. The Swordmaster explains that while reaching high floors is the primary goal, the ranking system is actually much more complex. If challengers reach the same floor, their standing is decided by how quickly they finished and how difficult their chosen route was. This is why Su-ming is so focused on the timing. He knows they can gain a massive head start by acting now. He teaches his friends that the ceremonies they see around them are actually a secret test of observation and initiative. Those who wait for the official guides will always be a step behind, while the society rewards those who can seize the moment. With the challenge about to begin, Su-ming asks his teammates if they plan to party up again like they did in the Raging Forest. While Zhang Yunqing is eager to stay by his side for safety, Yanze surprises everyone by refusing. He argues that they relied on Su-ming far too much in the beginner dungeon and essentially freeloaded their way to high levels. Because he wants to truly train and get stronger, the archer decides he must walk his own path. Ji Yao agrees, suggesting that the three of them should form a party without Su-ming to ensure they face a proper trial. Despite her initial nerves, Zhang Yunqing eventually finds her resolve and joins them, determined to prove her own worth. Once the party layout is finalized, the system registers Su-ming as a solo challenger while the others enter as a trio. In another part of the hall, the The red-haired rival Li Chengguang watches the hero with intense interest, noting that their score has yet to be settled. After a final exchange of well wishes, the Swordmaster is converted into blue energy and launches toward the tower, becoming the very first person to enter the challenge. Su Ming lands in a vast, checkered arena, ready to face what he expects to be easy pickings. However, his confidence is met with total confusion when his first floor opponent is revealed. Instead of the level 5 purple-furred fiend tiger he faced in his past life, he is confronted by a muscular, free-range Qingyuan chicken. Our protagonist is baffled, wondering if the tower is mocking him for being a noob, or if his rebirth has fundamentally altered the trial. This chicken is no ordinary farm animal, as its level is hidden by strange question marks, and it possesses incredible strength. Strangely, when Su Ming tries to grab the creature by the neck, it exerts a massive force that breaks his grip and kicks him across the floor. Realizing this chicken bro is actually a serious threat, the Swordmaster narrows his eyes with newfound respect. As the two lock into a high-speed battle of parries and explosive strikes, the opening ceremony back in the main hall finally concludes. The general crowd is stunned when they see the rankings board already active before the explanation has even finished. While the students marvel at Li Chengguang for already clearing the second floor and taking first place, Su Ming remains occupied in his arena. He is currently forced to use all his speed to defend against the chicken's rapid-fire pecks and devastating kicks, realizing that this climb will be anything but predictable. Su Ming continues the fight by testing out a hidden step skill which grants him bullet-like attack speed. He is able to lunge forward with a powerful downward arc. He notes that the explosive power of this new move is impressive, yet the Qingyuan chicken proves to be a frustrating target. The bird dodges through the air with ease, causing the Swordmaster to slam his blade into the floor and create nothing but a shockwave of debris. As our hero engages in a high-speed clash with the creature, a collision of energy fills the area. He feels the strain of the encounter and realizes that his go-to techniques like draw, slash, and sword control are not effective in this specific situation. Since the relentless assault is dragging on, he worries that the time advantage he gained by entering the tower first is rapidly disappearing. To find a breakthrough, the Swordmaster decides to deploy a legendary skill he obtained from the beginner dungeon's hidden boss. He lunges through the dark space and strikes the ground, triggering a massive attack. He waits for the perfect moment when the bird is forced to descend and activates the sword tomb technique. By plunging his sword into the tiles, he pulses red energy from the hilt to summon a blade from beneath the target. Unfortunately, as the smoke clears, the chicken appears completely unharmed and begins flapping its wings. Su Ming looks on in disbelief, frustrated that his most powerful area of effect attack failed to land. He begins to suspect that this opponent is far too strong for the first floor until a blue phantom of a chicken looms over the entire arena. As the real bird dives at him with its beak open, Su Ming has a sudden realization. Instead of relying on raw power, he performs a specialized maneuver called a drawline. He pins the chicken using a specific grip known as the chicken immobilization technique. A blinding light erupts as he successfully holds the bird, leaving it motionless and defeated. Our hero stands tall as the energy particles drift around him, noting that the creature was actually just an ordinary bird after all. The system provides a knowledge update explaining that he utilized tonic immobility, a stress-induced freezing instinct common in chickens. A notification confirms that Su Ming has cleared the first floor. He reflects on the fact that the tower was testing his intelligence, rather than just his strength, which makes this life's challenge much more interesting to him. He checks the leaderboard and notices that his rival, Li Chengguang, has already appeared and taken the top spot. While other challengers are beginning their climb, Su Ming realizes his head start is officially over. Rather than being discouraged, he is determined to reclaim first place in this tower climbing speed race as he walks to advance to the next level. The scene shifts back to the Academy Hall where an announcer finally explains the rules of the challenge. She reveals that the seats on both sides of the hall are the actual self-login points for the tower. Given the students were distracted by the long and boring opening ceremony, they are only now realizing they could have started the climb much earlier. A wave of panic hits the crowd as students frantically dash to find a seat, feeling like they were played by the ceremony's timing. One male student watches the rankings update in real time with sweat on his face. He sees that Li Chengguang has already cleared the 6th floor and realizes the Blade Berserker must have figured out the secret of the chairs immediately. As the rankings refresh, a party led by Ji Yao appears in 3rd place, having cleared the 4th floor. The student is shocked to see how many people discovered the login points. Finally, he spots a new entry at the bottom of the list with the ID 01. This belongs to the very first person who logged in, using the name Godslayer, who has also reached the 4th floor. The student is left speechless by the rapid progress of these elite challengers. The current ranking list shows the challenger with ID 01 and the name Godslayer sitting in 3rd place after clearing the 1st floor. This name causes some confusion, as it sounds more like a title than a standard username. Because Su Ming has successfully moved past the initial challenge, a system notification pops up to offer him a reward for clearing the floor. He is granted a custom title reward. He watches as a teleportation portal for the second floor manifests above him, though he initially questions the actual utility of having a title. While standing before the portal, our boy begins to reflect on his past life and a specific memory of defeating a purple tiger monster on the first floor. He remembers that in his previous existence, his reward for this stage was merely a small wooden chest containing common healing potions rather than a special title. Because of this major discrepancy, he realizes that his rebirth has fundamentally altered the way the tower operates. He decides to accept the new reality and types rapidly on a virtual keyboard to set his title. He chooses to use the name of the job he held in his previous life, and the system confirms his new official display name as God Slayer. Su-ming realizes this title has completely replaced his name on the public leaderboard. As he prepares for the next challenge, a system warning signals that a floor guardian boss has arrived. He grips his sword hilt and notes that the name God Slayer suits his current situation perfectly. A level 3 flying bat emerges from a blue portal and lunges at him, but the Swordmaster performs a high-speed dash and shreds the creature with multiple sword slashes. This victory is recorded instantly, and back in the main lobby, students stare in disbelief at the ranking board. They are shocked that Godslayer has cleared the second floor in only 1 minute. Our protagonist continues his relentless climb, reaching the third floor and plunging his sword through a level 5 troll hunter. After the system marks the kill with a red stamp, he immediately transitions to the fourth floor. He delivers a massive slash to defeat a multi-eyed beast known as a three-eyed grazer. In the lobby, the excitement grows as a bald student points out how fast the Godslayer is moving. The leaderboard updates to show that while Ji Yao's party is in second place at the 5th floor, Su Ming has pushed through to the 4th floor and is closing in on them in under 10 minutes. Looking at the top of the list, our boy sees that Li Chengguang has already broken through the 8th floor. Rather than being intimidated, the Swordmaster finds the race interesting. He decides that the time he spent struggling with the chicken on the 1st floor will serve as a handicap for his rival. He charges toward the 5th floor portal at explosive speed and encounters a 3-headed wolf called a saber-toothed Cerberus. Su Ming leaps into the air and spins with his blade, destroying the beast instantly. He refuses to slow down and continues to run. The scene shifts to Ji Yao's party, where she is coordinating her team after clearing their current floor. She manages her summons while Yanze focuses on damage and Zhang Yunqing handles healing. Their celebration is cut short when Yanze spots the ranking screen and yells in surprise. The girls look over and realize that Su Ming has already overtaken them, reaching the 7th floor while they are still on the 6th. On a separate floor, Li Chengguang executes a violent downward strike that sprays blood everywhere. As the system confirms he has cleared the 9th floor, the red-haired warrior notes that the monsters are finally starting to feel somewhat threatening. He looks toward a golden treasure chest at the top of a spiral staircase and checks the rankings. He realizes that whoever clears the 10th floor first will receive extra rewards. He correctly identifies Godslayer as Su Ming and feels irritated by how quickly the Swordmaster is catching up. He remains confident that he will be faster, but his eyes widen in shock when the leaderboard updates to show that Su Ming has already matched his progress on the 9th floor. Our hero walks into the arena for the 10th floor where a colossal bull-headed monster, the level 15 frenzied minotaur, awaits him. Back in the assembly lobby, more students gather to watch the screens instead of participating in their own trials. They believe it is impossible to catch up to the top two and want to see if the genius Blade Berserker or the mysterious Godslayer will be faster. Inside the arena, Su Ming spins through the air to dodge a massive strike from the Minotaur before lunging upward with a thrust to the monster's face. As the smoke clears, the Swordmaster stands calmly over the smoking body of the fallen giant. He mocks the beast for only lasting 30 seconds and notes that its poor endurance helped him maintain his speed in the race. Our boy triggers his Sword Tomb skill and unleashes a massive red blast that radiates outward and levels the entire arena. A system notification materializes to confirm the 10th floor is cleared and reveals that as the first challenger of the season to reach this milestone, he has earned a special bonus reward. The scene transitions to a medical facility where a nurse monitors a steady pulse. She is surprised when her patient begins to regain consciousness, prompting the blonde student Zhang Tang to wake up in a hospital bed. Having been knocked out for causing trouble in the lobby earlier, the nurse reports his status as stable while he looks around the room in confusion. Zhang Tang is momentarily distracted by the nurse's appearance and feels flustered, but he quickly slaps his own face to regain focus. He reminds himself that his heart belongs only to Xiaoman, and suddenly experiences a surge of panic as memories of Su Ming and the betrayal surface. Our protagonist's rival rushes to the doorway of the assembly hall only to find the lobby completely deserted. He realizes with total despair that while he was unconscious, every other challenger with a Tower Society token has already set off to begin their climb. Zhang Tang clutches his head in a state of panic. He has been left in the dust and can no longer catch up to Su Ming's level. He feels a wave of regret for his impulsive behavior and begins to suspect that Su Ming set a trap by knowing the rules of the academy ahead of time. His panic eventually shifts into a hateful glare as he decides to use his family's connections to settle the score. He sends a message on his smartphone demanding that his family's power be used to get rid of someone, believing Su Ming forced his hand. Jiang Tang then approaches a large ranking board to check the current progress. He scans the list and sees Li Chengguang from Wuyang Academy in second place with 16 floors cleared. However, he is baffled when he looks at the very top of the board. He sees the first place spot belongs to a mysterious challenger named God Slayer, who has already cleared the 18th floor. Meanwhile, on the 19th floor, the real Su Ming is in the middle of a violent battle. He performs a downward strike against a massive crystalline monster known as the Purple Crystal Cave Beast. Our boy lands on his feet and notes that at his current level, the tower is starting to require a genuine effort. With the mechanics of the floor guardians becoming more complex, he observes that this level 20 boss buries its main body underground to shield itself with tough purple crystals. As shown in the anatomy diagrams, the beast constantly spawns small minions that possess equally hard defenses. The swordmaster moves too fast as he slices through a horde of these minions in a single sweep. He realizes that his previous silver-grade weapon would never have been able to break through such high defenses. Luckily, he recalls the golden chest he earned for clearing the 10th floor first. Utilizing his All Things Ascend talent, he was able to upgrade that reward into a platinum chest. This resulted in him obtaining the Black Stone Cracked Fusion Sword, a high-tier weapon requiring level 18 to equip. Our protagonist explains that this new blade is a dual-type weapon. While the longsword form provides a massive slash bonus, it is too slow for dealing with large numbers of enemies. To compensate for this, he activates the Broken Blade property to split the weapon into two separate one-handed swords. Even though his individual attack power drops slightly, the 50% boost to his attack speed is a massive advantage. Combined with his Origin Sword body talent, our hero gains a full weapon bonus that allows him to utilize both speed and power simultaneously as he charges into the horde. The focus shifts to the 17th floor where a massive explosion occurs. Li Chengguang is sliding backward across the floor with a bruised face and low health bar. He is currently struggling against a level 18 giant tree demon and admits he has hit his limit. As the warrior lacks any fire-based skills, he has no effective way to counter the monster's elemental weakness while fighting solo. The demon slams a branch down to send him flying, leaving him frustrated by his lack of stat-boosting rewards. In a bitter flashback, the red-haired warrior recalls receiving only a standard silver chest for clearing 10 floors. Since he lost the speed race to Su Ming, he was forced to settle for a regular reward instead of the premium bonus. To make matters worse, the chest only yielded a magic-type necklace that is completely useless for his physical-based job. He holds the accessory with a look of pure disgust, realizing that his failure to beat Su Ming to the 10th floor has crippled his momentum in the tower. Li Chengguang struggles desperately. Giant tree demon slams him into the ground. Due to the overwhelming power of the beast, the warrior lies bruised and breathless, realizing that pushing any further will result in his permanent death. This fear forces him to surrender, and he signals his forfeit. Multiple system notifications immediately updates the assembly hall screens, announcing that the second-place challenger has officially failed his attempt. These digital reports also show a wave of other eliminations across various floors, proving that the difficulty of the tower is starting to crush the majority of the students. While others are failing, the perspective shifts to Su Ming as he moves with impressive speed on the 19th floor. He uses his twin blades to slice through crystal minions as he targets the massive pulsing crystal that serves as the cave beast's head. The swordmaster realizes he has finally closed the gap on his target. He activates his sword tomb skill and plunges his blade deep into the core, forcing the monster's real body out from its underground hiding spot. He mocks the creature for its cowardice as the crystal shatters, resulting in a successful clearance of the 19th floor. As more notifications highlight the growing list of defeated parties and confirm the official elimination of Li Chengguang, Su Ming stands before the teleportation gate leading to the 20th floor. He notes that the Blade Berserker has finally stopped, which makes sense to him since the tower's difficulty rises steadily after the 10th level. Based on his memories from his past life, our protagonist knows that the 20th floor represents a major threshold where the challenge jumps up exponentially. He checks his own status and sees he has reached level 20, acknowledging that while the 19th floor was his current limit, hitting this new level gives him the chance to finally use a legendary move from his previous life. He arrives on the 20th floor amidst thick smoke and debris, leaping into the air as the system confirms his location. He descends with his blade drawn to face the new guardian, a towering knight in armor known as the Seal Knight. The swordmaster attempts to use his sword control skill, but the level 25 boss deflects every strike with ease and pushes him back. Even when the protagonist activates his hidden step to boost his speed, the knight continues to block the attacks with minimal effort. As the guardian is 5 levels higher than him, Su Ming finds it impossible to break through its defense. The Seal Knight counters with a massive beam of sword energy that slams into our hero and sends him flying across the arena. Su Ming struggles against the overwhelming pressure, realizing that his current gear and stats are not enough to withstand the skill attacks of such a high-level monster. He calculates his survival odds and determines that he can only tank one more hit before his health bar empties completely. He admits that even with his knowledge of the future, challenging the tower above his current level is a massive undertaking. Luckily, this struggle was actually what the Swordmaster expected from the start. He activates his Shadow Blade set skill, causing intense red energy to flow as he prepares to test the move he has been waiting for. He powers up, reflecting on the skill he was most proud of during his past life as a Godslayer. He unleashes an enormous energy slash known as the Godslayer's Strike, which consumes the entire area in a devastating explosion. Back in the assembly hall, the crowd watches the ranking board in total shock. Li Chengguang stares in disbelief while other defeated students gossip about the incredible progress of the mysterious Godslayer. While most students discuss how they were knocked out early as the monsters after the 10th floor are too difficult for regular challengers, they wonder where this elite warrior came from. They are left speechless by the fact that someone is successfully clearing the 20th floor on their very first tower run. Li Chengguang stands in a state of visible frustration, deeply unsettled by the fact that Su Ming managed to surpass him by challenging the 20th floor. Because of his agitation, he is caught off guard when Luna approaches and notes that this is the first time in his life he has ever lost to someone. This observation causes the warrior to grit his teeth in silent anger as he hardens his resolve against the mysterious Godslayer. Deep within the tower arena, the massive energy of the Godslayer's strike consumes the surroundings. As the smoke clears, the result of the battle becomes obvious. Su Ming is shown kneeling on the ground and breathing heavily. He realizes that he is completely exhausted and admits to himself that he must accept defeat this time. The armored Seal Knight remains standing perfectly still and unharmed despite the devastating attack. Since even his strongest slash couldn't handle the Guardian, the Swordmaster reaches out to a menu and officially chooses to forfeit his attempt at the 20th floor. He closes his eyes and accepts the outcome, but his shock returns when the knight suddenly begins to speak with a deep resonance. The Seal Knight tells the protagonist that he didn't actually lose, which leaves Su Ming staring up in total confusion. The Guardian explains that at the hero's current level, his attributes simply aren't high enough to bring out the true power of such a god-level skill. While Su Ming is frozen in disbelief that a Tower Guardian is capable of prophetic speech, the knight turns away and mentions that he looks forward to a future rematch. Suddenly, Su Ming is teleported back into the assembly hall filled with portals, recognizing it as the rest area for those who have finished their climb. Nearby, a large crowd of challengers gathers around a ranking screen and shouts in excitement. They notice the rankings have updated and discuss how the Godslayer finally failed on the 20th floor. Even though the mysterious challenger stopped there, the onlookers consider it incredibly impressive since even the genius Li Chengguang only cleared the 16th. Our protagonist walks calmly through the crowd, completely unnoticed by those searching for the legendary Godslayer. He reflects on how useful his first floor title reward turned out to be, as it masked his identity and prevented him from being mobbed by gawkers. He understands that while his concealment skill only works inside dungeons, the tower's naming system provides the perfect cover. He then checks the party rankings and sees that Ji Yao and the others are currently in 3rd place on the 14th floor. He is satisfied to see their coordination has improved, and decides to head out first to begin his next phase, since they are doing well on their own. The Swordmaster walks toward a gateway where a digital menu displays various quest categories. As he has reached level 20, his second-class advancement quest has appeared. To save time, he decides to pick a hunt quest located near his advancement objective. After browsing the available D-rank options, he selects Hunt Quest D17, which tasks him with killing a Python King in the Nanli district for 10,000 Empire coins and a Platinum skill scroll. A notification then confirms that his Society Pass now allows him to enter the Mirage Zone. As the environment shifts into a magical landscape of giant mushrooms, Su Ming explains that the Mirage Zone is a realm connecting to the society that looks nothing like the real world. He recalls that after Awakening Day, the real world was overrun by monsters and chaos until the previous generation rebuilt order. This led to the creation of the Mirage Zone as a separate living space for beasts, keeping human society peaceful for the time being. He realizes that the Tower Trial is the literal gate for new challengers to enter this zone. He looks toward the tower peak and vows that in this life, he will reach the top and discover the truth behind Awakening Day that he missed in his previous existence. A system prompt asks if he wants to target the Mirage Zone, but our boy chooses to return to the real world first. Upon his exit, he receives a 10,000 coin reward for his 20th floor attempt, which is exactly the amount he needs to pay for a weapon order he placed 2 days prior. Su Ming soon arrives at a skyscraper known as the Weapon Trading Center. He remembers getting his silver-grade blade here through a gamble, but knows it is no longer enough for the challenges ahead. Since he finds the lifesteal and stat boost effects of his current sword incredibly helpful, he is unwilling to give them up easily. A flashback reveals that 2 days earlier, Ji Yao called Su Ming to invite him gear shopping with the team. He declined the offer, explaining that he was already getting his equipment ready elsewhere. While Ji Yao was talking, Su-ming was actually on his interface placing a custom order and paying a 10,000 coin deposit. He enters an elevator and heads to a secret warehouse in the underground lot where a red-haired forge master named Nahula is waiting. She asks if he has the remaining balance and presents him with a specialized weapon replica upgrade device. The swordmaster understands that his primary talent can only be used on an item once, and the result is random. To keep the specific traits of his blood-drinking sword while raising its grade, he must use this expensive device. As he holds the replica over his old blade, this transforms the silver steel into a sleek, golden inlaid weapon called the Black Edge blood-drinking sword. Nahula looks at the hero with suspicion, questioning how a freshly awakened student even found her contact info. She is amazed that he was willing to risk over 10,000 coins on a material cost, wondering why he wasn't afraid her research might fail. Su-ming simply looks back at her with a calm expression and asks who said they were strangers, which leaves Nahula questioning if her own memory is failing her. While she is confused, he secretly reflects on their deep history together in his past life. The guy remembers that in his previous timeline, Nahula eventually became a legendary artisan whose dedication to forging allowed her to overcome her modest 8-star talent. As they work together many times to create one-of-a-kind weapons, he knows her skills are beyond reproach. He realizes that the 20,000 coins he is spending now is a bargain compared to the astronomical costs of her future services. This is exactly why he chose to approach her early, taking advantage of the fact that she is currently at her poorest and most vulnerable stage. To further cement their bond, he reveals that he knows she is currently struggling to find funding for her next research project. This revelation leaves Nahula in total shock, wondering how a stranger could know her private financial struggles. Su-ming seizes the moment by offering to sponsor her with 10,000 Empire coins up front, promising to increase the investment as he clears more high-level quests. This offer of sudden hope causes Nahula's eyes to shimmer with joy, and she begins to view him as a literal angel sent to save her career. However, Su-ming adds a business-like condition to the deal. He explains that in exchange for his sponsorship, she must provide him with a 30% discount on all future crafting prices. Nahula eagerly agrees with a thumbs up, officially sealing their long-term partnership. The scene transitions to the Mirage Zone's wilderness area, a vibrant forest where the trees and flora are far larger than anything found on Blue Star. In the Sichuan forest, the local wildlife is shown to be dangerous as a predatory plant attempts to snap up a small lizard. Our protagonist arrives through a blue portal and stands on a fallen trunk, noting that the scale of this environment far exceeds the beginner dungeon. Due to the scent of blood lingering in the air, he realizes his target is nearby. He consults his system for Hunt Quest D17, which tasks him with killing the Python King that has already devoured several Tower Society members. As the monster is estimated to be around level 25 and is located to the south, he prepares for a difficult hunt. Looking up at the massive canopy, he finds it difficult to scout the area as the trees are too tall to climb easily. This leads him to wonder if he can mimic the legendary sword-flying techniques of a true swordmaster. Even though his job is technically different, he hopes his sword control skill might allow him to ride his blade through the air. Unfortunately, his first attempt ends in failure as the blade wobbles under his weight and sends him falling face first into the grass. He realizes that standing on a moving weapon is a specialized class ability he doesn't possess, but the fall gives him a creative new idea. Instead of trying to stand on the sword, the boy leaps into the air and activates his control skill while gripping the hilt tightly. Since he uses the weapon's autonomous momentum to pull him upward, he is able to soar through the leaves and reach the top of the forest canopy. From this high vantage point, he finally gains a clear view of the landscape and spots activity toward the south. Meanwhile, a group of 3 suspicious individuals gathers near a river entrance. This team is tracking Su-ming's movements. A blonde-haired man explains that as the hero accepted a solo hunt quest without a party, his name was incredibly easy to find on the public quest board. The woman mocks our boy for having the nerve to enter such a dangerous zone alone, while the man in the blue cloak dismisses him as a clueless newbie who will likely be killed by the monsters before they even reach him. However, the blonde leader, who is revealed to be a level 27 warrior, urges them to hurry. He is determined to reach the protagonist quickly so they can claim a bounty on his head before the forest creatures do their work for them. The story moves into a flashback where a system message confirms that Zhang Tang has forfeited his climb at the 13th floor. He emerges in the lobby feeling exhausted and bitter, as his poor performance and lack of teammates have left his tower ranking in shambles. Frustrated by his slow progress, the young master scans the nearly empty rest area for Su-ming's name on the leaderboard. Because he finds no trace of the hero, he begins to worry that he has lost the opportunity to track and assassinate his rival. The perspective then shifts to Su-ming's former teammates as they enter the lobby. Yanza offers a smile to Ji Yao, thanking her for the spot calling that allowed them to clear the 15th floor. Ji Yao looks down modestly and admits she is tired but proud. She suggests that while they did well, they could have gone higher if they had a better main tank, noting that her skeletal summons are quite squishy. Jang Yun-king walks alongside them and adds that achieving such a result without Su-ming's help is already an amazing feat. Jang Tang watches the trio from the shadows nearby with his eyes narrowing in envy. He is furious that students from his own academy secured better results than him. Jang Yun-king notes that they have spent a long time in the tower and urges the group to hurry toward the next phase of quests. When she wonders aloud how far Su-ming has gotten, Ji Yao reveals she contacted him and found out he has already accepted a solo hunt quest and headed out. This news surprises Yun-king, but Ji Yao explains that the boy has always been a lone wolf. The three friends decide to keep running as a party so they don't fall too far behind him. Seeing them leave, Zhang Tang pulls out his smartphone with a sinister smile. He realizes he finally has a lead, assuming that if the hero is working alone, he must be on a low-level quest. He quickly sends a text message to his associates, ordering them to track and kill the boy. The story transitions back to the present in the southern zone of the D-17 Hunt Quest area. The landscape is a dense, overgrown forest filled with ruined wooden shacks and broken bridges. Su-ming walks through the moss-covered wreckage of a village and observes that the area went through serious destruction quite some time ago. He stops in front of a pile of wooden planks and realizes he is looking at the corpses of villagers from a beastman settlement. Our protagonist notices a bubbling green liquid covering the bodies and concludes that the corrosive fluid is what killed them. Due to the rotting stench, he identifies the substance as snake venom. He scans the area and senses that his target must be nearby as a strong scent of blood mixes with the air. He looks toward a decaying house deeper in the woods and decides to push further in. Our guy eventually finds a massive pile of green, viscous slime swarming with flies. He is forced to clench his nose as the smell is so overpowering. He stares at the slime with disgust, realizing that the sheer volume of the discharge indicates that the Python King is even larger than he expected. Suddenly, a rustling sound from a nearby tree catches his attention. He turns sharply and notices a black silhouette with pointed ears hiding behind some tall grass and flowers. A small girl with cat ears and a tail lunges out, trembling with fear and holding her hands up like claws. She screams for him not to come any closer, trying to look intimidating despite the tears in her eyes by claiming her claws are sharp. Su-ming stares at her blankly for a long moment before casually remarking that she just looks like a pet. This insult turns the girl's face red with anger. She screams that she isn't a pet and asks if he is another attacker come to destroy her home. A character sheet appears over the girl, identifying her as Leah, a level 3 catfolk assassin with high agility but low strength. Our boy activates his insight skill to confirm her data. He reaches into his pouch and tosses a red glass bottle toward her. Leah catches the bottle in confusion, and Su-ming explains that it is a healing potion for her injuries. He tells Leah to relax, clarifying that he isn't there to attack the village since it has already been destroyed. He looks toward the forest interior and explains his true mission is to kill the giant serpent that attacked her home. Leah looks at him with concern and warns him that the snake is incredibly dangerous to face alone. Our hero remains undeterred, stating that the hunt is exactly what he came for. Leah takes on a determined expression and offers to lead him to the serpent's lair. Her face contorts with grief as she begins to sob, explaining that the monster ate her entire family. Later, Su-ming and Leah walk through a dark and foggy section of the forest under the cover of massive trees. The hero notes that it is getting darker, and he still can't sense any movement, asking if they are going the right way. Leah points upward toward the canopy and tells him the threat is just ahead. Su-ming looks up in surprise, just as a colossal, green-scaled python emerges from the mist. He observes the creature's data and realizes the predator is even larger than he anticipated. This discovery makes him understand that a D-rank quest is a serious challenge, forcing him to rethink his original strategy for the kill. While Su-ming is focused on the beast, Leah suddenly screams for him to watch his back. He reacts instantly as an arrow streaks past his head, narrowly missing him. High in the trees, a gray-haired archer feels frustrated as his target noticed the attack from such a distance. As the group has been exposed, they decides to drop the stealth approach and take the boy head-on. Our hero looks toward the source of the shot and wonders who is hunting him from the shadows. 3 assassins emerge from the darkness, led by a blonde-haired man, the level 27 warrior who laughs mockingly. The leader notes that a mere level 20 awakener dodging their ambush is impressive, but he warns that such luck won't save the boy a second time. Backed by a silver-haired woman and a man in a blue cloak, the leader declares that the swordmaster will die today. The trio launches a synchronized assault to collect their bounty. The cloaked man fires magical arrows while the woman casts a flame spell, and the leader charges with a heavy blade. Su-ming moves through the forest at high speed to dodge the magical blasts and projectiles. The woman glares at him and wonders if he can evade her magic as easily as he dodges arrows, launching a massive orb of energy. A violent explosion of debris follows, and though our hero emerges from the smoke with a slight decrease in health, he remains standing. He clashes with the blonde leader, creating shockwaves that shatter the surrounding rocks. The assassin laughs while pushing his blade against the heroes, mocking the boy's strength and mentioning that it took all three of them just to handle a newbie. The trio regroups and looks down on the protagonist with condescension. They suggest that the clients must be rich to pay for such an easy job, as they expected a monster but found only a clueless student who picked the wrong quest. While Leah watches from the hidden spot in total devastation, the cloaked man mocks the hero for making enemies without understanding the meaning of death. Su-ming sits with his head bowed and breathes heavily in the shadows. He asks his attackers to reveal who sent them so that he can at least die knowing why. The blonde leader raises his sword with a triumphant grin, believing there is no harm in telling a dead man. He reveals that the Zhang family's young master, Zhang Tang, is the one who wants the hero's pathetic life. As the man brings his blade down in a savage motion, blood sprays into the air from a direct hit. Leah stares in horror, but a close-up of Su-ming's eyes shows he is perfectly calm. He notes that the betrayal matches his guesses about Zhang Tang's character. Suddenly, the blonde man shouts in surprise as a second Su-ming is revealed standing high on a ridge behind them. The protagonist looks down at his attackers and remarks that Zhang Tang is the only one who would come at him this aggressively. The leader spins around in absolute terror, unable to understand how two versions of the hero exist. Our boy's right eye pulses with his inside eye as he explains that the figure they just killed was merely a set skill clone. While standing calmly on the ridge, the swordmaster analyzes the situation based on the world's survival rules. He identifies the archer as level 23 and the mage as level 25. He understands that in this world, awakeners cannot hunt others if there is a level gap of more than 10 levels without becoming wanted criminals. For this reason, he calculates that their levels cannot exceed 30, identifying the level 27 swordsman as the primary threat. Su-ming decides to target the weakest link first. He vanishes and reappears instantly behind the man in the blue cloak. He holds a blade to the hostage's throat and tells the others not to do anything stupid. He smiles darkly and points out that fatal spots like the throat don't care about HP bars. The silver-haired woman yells in fury, calling him a despicable bastard. The swordmaster remains unfazed, reminding her that they were the ones who tried to snipe him from behind first. The blonde leader glares at him with a mocking grin, assuming a recently awakened brat wouldn't have the nerve to actually kill a person. He suggests that a first kill never feels great and expects the boy to hesitate. Su-ming offers a cold and unnerving smile in response. In a sudden flash of motion, he slashes the mage's throat, sending blood spraying across the forest. He calmly declares that he is actually in a pretty good mood. The silver-haired mage and her blonde companion stare in horror, frozen by the fact that Su-ming didn't even blink during the execution. Our hero mocks their professionalism, laughing because their attempt to hunt him confirms they are under level 30, making them little more than glorified beginners in his eyes. As the blonde warrior begins to sweat under the pressure, Su-ming reveals that the souls he claimed in his past life are countless, projecting a raw killing intent so terrifying that even the hidden catfolk girl, Leah, trembles in fear. Suddenly, our boy moves with a burst of speed and strikes the mage's hand. As he hit a non-fatal spot, the spray of blood and the mage's scream of agony only count as standard HP damage. Su-ming stands stoically while his opponent clutches her bleeding limb, explaining that even though her level is higher, she lacks the speed to outrun his attacks. He immediately follows up with a violent upward strike called a ring blade smash. This impact is so powerful that it launches the blonde warrior high into the air. Our protagonist watches his enemy fly with a confident smile, noting that while the swordsman is 7 levels higher and built for strength, their agility stats have finally equalized. To close the distance, the swordmaster activates his divine step skill. He instantly reappears beside the warrior to strike again, though the blonde man manages to push him back with a swing of his own blade. The assassin mocks the attack as being weak, but Su-ming realizes the level gap is significantly cutting down his raw damage output. He reflects on how life and death battles between humans are calculated differently than fighting monsters. While attacks are generally based on total HP, that logic only applies when hitting normal body parts. He identifies that hitting fatal spots provides a massive damage bonus and a high chance to skip HP calculations for a one-shot kill. However, since his targets are higher level than him, the probability of these one-shot kills on vital points drops sharply. The silver-haired mage continues to yell in pain, but the blonde warrior tells her to stop whining, promising to hire a high-level healer once they get paid. Our boy realizes that due to these level and stat differences, the fight is turning into a protracted war of attrition. After he conceived a new plan, he decides to sprint away into the thick forest, intending to use a strategy where he kills his enemies with someone else's blade. The blonde warrior yells in a panic as his heavy body makes him too slow to give chase. He orders the mage to lock onto the boy with magic. Even with one less functional hand, the silver-haired mage raises her staff and activates a lock-on skill to keep the guy in her sights. She unleashes a massive spear of ice known as the Mystic Life Ice Arrow. Su Ming runs frantically through the trees as the homing projectile chases him, using his sword control skill. The blonde warrior looks up in shock as the swordmaster leaps high into the air and appears to fly over the forest floor. The mage explains that it is natural for a swordmaster to fly on his weapon and focuses on casting more skills to knock him down. Leah watches from the safety of the bushes, quietly cheering for the hero as he soars overhead while clinging to his flying blade. From his high vantage point, Su Ming looks back at the persistent ice spear. He realizes the projectile is still following him and notes that this is exactly what he wanted. He aims his flight path toward the massive green coils of the Python King wrapped around a giant tree. The swordmaster points his weapon toward the giant serpent, leading the mystic life ice arrow to impact the snake's head with a massive explosion of magical energy. The blonde warrior watches from below and wonders if the spell hit the hero, while the mage strikes a proud pose since her lock-on spell never misses. However, their celebration is cut short as a terrifying hiss rumbles through the woods. As the smoke clears, the giant venomous scaled snake lunges down from the canopy with its eyes glowing red with fury. The assassins freeze in terror as the level 26 wilderness boss slams into the ground. The massive serpent possesses 401 strength and 350 constitution, making it a lethal threat. It immediately exhales a cloud of green corrosive venom at the assassins. The silver-haired mage runs in terror as the environment dissolves around her, screaming about why the monster is only chasing her instead of the disabled hero. Su Ming watches the chaos and laughs, explaining that the boss is naturally targeting her because her spell was the one that woke it up. He notes that her high mage damage was actually helpful, as her single spell managed to shave off 20% of the boss's health for him. The blonde warrior lunges forward with a heavy strike skill, swinging his blade with immense downward force to crush his target. This powerful weapon slams into the giant Python King, causing a spray of poison and blood to erupt as the serpent roars in its death throes. Due to the intense physical exertion, the assassin shouts in a final attempt to end the fight, performing a mountain-suppressing heavy strike that shatters the earth beneath the snake. Su Ming observes this carnage, noting that the blonde warrior is built purely for strength. He realizes that as a result of being one level higher than the serpent and going all out, the assassin's damage is truly terrifying. This devious smile returns to the swordmaster's face because he knows that using his enemies to whittle each other down was the perfect strategy. Now that they are both weakened, he decides it is finally his turn to finish the job. The silver-haired unleashes a spear of ice known as the Mystic Life Ice Arrow at the giant Python King, which makes it roar in pain, giving her a moment of false hope that she might be saved. However, multiple sword slashes suddenly rip through her body as Su Ming tells her not to get too happy yet. He extends his hand to control his shadow blade, and the mage lets out a final scream as he strikes her down. This causes the blonde warrior to shout in a fit of rage, for he realizes he is now the one being targeted by a sneak attack. As the serpent lunges, our hero laughs and leaps to a high branch to stay safely out of reach. He mockingly asks the assassin if he needs a hand while the warrior is caught in the giant snake's coils. The blonde man looks back in agony as the swordmaster manipulates his weapon with blue energy, explaining that the assassin should finally understand how annoying a sneak attack can be. Since the previous struggle occurred, the Python King's health is nearly empty. Su Ming notes that thanks to the assassins, the serpent's armor is cracked and its defenses have dropped sharply. He unleashes a massive slash using his sword control skill, striking the blonde warrior through the serpent's body and ending his life. Our boy walks calmly through the settling mist, reflecting on how he found everything he needed without putting in any effort at all. As the dust clears, the catfolk girl Leah stirs on the ground and realizes the threat is gone. She looks at the dead monster and smiles through her tears, because she knows Su Ming has finally avenged her fallen family. Our protagonist looks at the carcass and considers the high-quality rewards he will receive from a D-rank hunt quest, but he is suddenly interrupted by a strange presence. He turns to find a hooded person hiding high in the trees, a man who warns the swordmaster to worry about his own safety. Su Ming is caught off guard as the stranger reveals a sinister grin, claiming that the hero has already walked into a trap. Suddenly, our boy realizes his body is paralyzed, and he is unable to move. He struggles to stay upright, frantically trying to figure out when he was hit, since he already executed the assassins and avoided the snake's venom. The hooded man lands nearby while holding a golden artifact. He mocks the hero with a proverb about predators being unaware of the threat behind them, feeling lucky to have stumbled upon such a profitable situation. This stranger, an elite awakener named Ding Pan, admits he didn't expect to find people brawling in the wild, but decides it would be a waste not to claim them all as his spoils. He looks at our hero with absolute contempt, laughing at the idea that a level 21 newcomer would be worth a high-priced hit. Our boy activates his insight eye to scan the man, confirming that his enemy is a level 27 disguiser. He realizes that Zhang Tang wasn't smart enough to hire extra backup, and that this new threat is simply an opportunistic predator. Ding Pan prepares to use a critical slash to end the hero's life quickly, confident in his victory. However, Su-ming focuses on the man's skill list and correctly identifies the phantom paralysis induction. He calmly asks if the mist was the medium used for the attack, which causes the hooded man to freeze in total shock as he wonders how a mere student could have figured out his secret. Su-ming laughs at his opponent, claiming that the paralysis is nearly over. This sends Ding-pan into a panicked sweat as he checks his system and wonders how the guy is already moving with over a minute left on the timer. Ding-pan regains his ego and explains that his poison skill builds slowly to deliver a massive 2-minute payoff. Our hero secretly enjoys baiting the idiot into explaining his own ability, though he realizes that surviving 2 minutes of immobility is a genuine challenge he must now solve. Ding-pan has a sudden realization and points at the hero, accusing him of bluffing since he doesn't actually know the true duration of the skill. Su-ming admits to himself that the assassin is right, but this only hardens his resolve to find another way out. He quickly scans the man's skill list, noting that for a level 27 elite, Ding-pan has a pathetic lack of active damage skills. Our protagonist mocks the man for being a specialist who only has one finisher, pointing out that the assassin is clearly nervous, given he won't stand a chance once the paralysis breaks. The hooded man shouts back in a rage, arguing that his raw stats are more than enough to crush a level 21 rookie even without active skills. Su-ming continues to taunt him, suggesting they wait for the timer to end so they can fight fairly. This causes the assassin to panic even more, questioning why he should listen to his target at all. Our boy observes that the man is visibly shaking with fear, proving that he is terrified of a freshly awakened student. Su-ming looks up with a bored expression, telling the man that their upcoming fight will prove who is truly superior. Suddenly, the catgirl Leah lunges from the trees. She is determined to protect the person who avenged her village and strikes down at Ding-pan with all her might. The impact throws the assassin across the clearing, leaving him sitting up in a panic. He wonders how anyone could still be moving in his poison fog and eventually realizes the attacker is a local beast-kin from the Mirage. He looks at the level 3 girl with contempt, lunging at her with his weapon out of insult that such a weak creature would dare to intervene. As Ding-pan swings his blade down toward the cowering girl, Su-ming suddenly breaks free from the paralysis with a loud shout. He moves like a shadow and unleashes a series of violent sword slashes that overwhelm the assassin instantly. The swordmaster stands over his defeated opponent with a blade at the man's throat, coldly declaring that the one who is actually dying is the assassin. After the man falls, our hero looks over the loot and notes that such a weak fighter surprisingly carried a lot of valuable items. Leah looks up at her savior with wide, curious eyes and lets out a soft sound. Su-ming responds gently, telling her not to be afraid now that the attacker is unconscious and can no longer hurt them. He glances at a wounded female assassin nearby but decides to leave her alone due to his rule of never killing women. He checks his status screen and decides it is time to leave this area to finish his second-class advancement quest now that he has picked the battlefield clean. Leah reaches out with tears in her eyes and begs the hero to take her with him. With her home gone and her view of him as a good person, she asks to become his student so she doesn't have to be alone. Su-ming initially refuses, but he pauses as he realizes she actually saved his life by providing the distraction he needed. He tosses a platinum-grade skill scroll called Blood Surge Stab toward her, catching her by surprise. He sternly explains that she is currently too weak and would only hold him back, but he encourages her to train hard in the forest using the new skill. He promises that they will meet again and hopes that by then, she will have become a powerful assassin. Leah is filled with gratitude and vows not to let her new master down. As Su-ming walks away into the distance, he reflects on their future meeting. Shortly after, a notification reveals that he has consumed a rare Millennium Purple Vein Ganoderma dropped by the Wilderness boss. This results in a massive increase to all his primary attributes, including luck. The system then confirms that he has completed his third advancement quest, promoting him to the rank of Sword King and providing a 10% boost to all his stats. Among his new spoils, he also finds a diary belonging to the fallen Ding-pan. The scene shifts to the Southwest Quest Hall in the Mirage Zone, where groups of students are arguing about their recent missions. One student leaves his party in disgust, blaming his teammates for almost getting him killed, while others complain that low-rank quests are a waste of time. Su-ming walks through the crowded hall with an indifferent look, noticing that many challengers have already returned from their hunts. The crowd suddenly gets excited as a stylish woman named Miss Mo-mi walks past. People whisper that her party cleared an F-rank quest thanks to a quiet 10-star exorcist on her team. Miss Mo-mi looks at her phone in frustration after her cold teammate hung up on her again. A loud shout suddenly erupts from the other side of the room as a student notices a massive update on the victory board. The crowd is stunned to see that someone has successfully cleared a D-rank hunt quest, which is considered nearly impossible for new awakeners given the level of the Wilderness boss. Miss Mo-mi stares at the screen in disbelief as a treasure chest with a diamond symbol appears. The hall is filled with murmurs of amazement at the reward being upgraded to a diamond grade, leaving everyone wondering what kind of monster could have achieved such a feat. Su-ming stands nearby in the middle of the chaos, looking cool and detached as the world reacts to his success. Since he analyzed the technical details of his fallen opponent, Su-ming realizes that the phantom paralysis conduction skill is incredibly specialized. This ability uses environmental mediums like mist or rain to slowly channel energy into a target over a period of 30 minutes to 2 hours, eventually triggering a 2-minute total paralysis. He concludes that while the preparation time is ridiculously long, the effect itself is fundamentally broken for human-to-human combat. This explains why the assassin Ding Pan had such weak direct combat abilities, yet managed to build a massive kill list of other challengers. By taking out this predator, our hero has unknowingly completed a C-rank bounty mission, resulting in his reward tier being upgraded to Diamond. He is satisfied with the outcome as a Diamond tier reward far exceeds the Platinum loot he originally expected from his standard hunt quest. However, as he returns to the Southwest Quest Hall, his success causes a massive disturbance. Onlookers are stunned to see a level 21 student achieving a Diamond rating, with many skeptically claiming that he must have cheated or pulled strings behind the scenes. Our protagonist finds the sudden attention and crowding repulsive, noting that the scrutiny makes his skin crawl. While some challengers argue that the official oversight is too strict for cheating, others remain frustrated and demand an explanation for his impossible score. To defuse the situation and protect his secrets, Su-ming decides to use his knowledge from his past life to bluff the crowd. He stops and calmly addresses the group, claiming there was no cheating involved. He suggests that the method for boosting a rating is actually simple. One just needs to pick a high-level solo quest and then ride the progress of a much larger, high-level party. He explains that by tagging along with a 100-man team clearing a major target, a solo player can trick the system into providing a high rating score even if their actual reward payout is small. Given that this explanation makes him look like a cowardly min-maxer who only cares about stats, the crowd immediately loses interest and begins to mock him. Su-ming is perfectly fine with being seen as a loser, as it allows him to slip away while the onlookers laugh at his supposed cowardice. As he departs, the stylish Miss Mo-mi watches him with deep suspicion. She recognizes the name he mentioned as a fake and realizes he is lying to protect himself. She chases him into a forest area and aggressively confronts him, shouting that she knows he actually cleared the quest through his own strength. Desperate for the truth, she offers him 100,000 Empire coins for the real information. Our hero remains completely indifferent and turns down the money without hesitation. He explains that as they are strangers, he won't take her cash for nothing, and suggests that wealthy people shouldn't throw their money around so carelessly. This refusal leaves Mome in shock, but she smiles to herself as she watches him vanish into the distance, noting that his hidden strength and personality remind her of an elite player named Bai Yi. The scene transitions to the real world later that night, where Su-ming returns to his quiet dorm room. He decides that staying on campus is his best strategy since most other Awakeners have already moved out, making it the last place Jiang Tang would expect to find him after the hitmen were killed. While checking his smartphone, he sees a lively group chat from his former teammates. The group is celebrating their successful clearing of a G-rank hunt quest. Our boy looks at their messages with a somber expression, feeling that his reclusive and loner personality is causing him to waste Ji Yao's consistent kindness. Suddenly, a private message arrives from Jiang Yunqing. She explains that her father, the chairman of the Jiang group, insists on giving him a gift for saving her life in the dungeon. A loading bar appears on his screen and reveals he has acquired a golden sword. Although the system identifies the weapon as being more flashy than practical, Su-ming is thrilled by its monetary value. He calculates that by selling the sword and combining the proceeds with his recent bounty money, he can send a massive wave of funding to the Forge Master Nahula. Even after supporting her research, he realizes he will still have 200,000 Empire coins left over. He sits on his bed feeling satisfied, noting that while the gift from the wealthy family lacks utility, its resale value is exactly what he needs to fuel his future growth.